And we are back with another episode of Joe's Knows Basketball, episode 8. Jaden Hunter, Nate Perez, Giacomo Imperiale, Matt Freeman. I'm your host, Ben Chadwick. Guys, we got a couple similarities from a very, very early episode. I think it was our first or second episode. We're going to be running through who we think deserves each of the most important awards at the end of the season. Also, we're going to run through Freeman's top 5. We got a very fun Kentucky Fried Freedman take that we have for you. Part 2. Had a first one last week, got another one. And then Guac's going to give us some season takeaways as well. And then we'll get into those season predictions for the awards that I talked about earlier. So, Freeman, why don't you kick us off with the Freed's top 5? Oh. There you go, Freeman.
Obvious.
I had you muted for a second there. You're good now.
You're all good. So for my top 5 teams in the NBA right now, I think it's pretty obvious, and you can rearrange it in whatever order you'd like. But I think the Celtics, they're number 1, and there's really no argument there. I think the Bucks are number 2, and I don't think there's really an argument there. At number 3, I'm actually going to have the Memphis Grizzlies because now we're entering the part of the season where it's more power rankings, and they're still 3rd in the West while having they have not had one game all year where their big 3 of Jaren Jackson Jr., Ja Morant, and Desmond Bane have all been on the floor together. Not one game, and yet they're still thriving in the West. So I think that their play with all the injuries gives them the number 3 spot. I'll give the Cleveland Cavaliers number 4. I mean, the talent's undeniable. They're still playing well, high up in that Eastern Conference standings. And then at the last spot of my top 5, give me the Phoenix Suns. They got the best record in the West. Still a lighter schedule and have looked a little bit fraudulent at times, but you can't deny the record. So I'll slide them right in at number 5.
I'll go whenever. Let me know.
Are you talking about you want to talk about Freeman's top 5? Or you want to
I have a couple comments here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't hate it at all. I think that as of right now, the Grizzlies at 3 is a little high. I get your points, but I think the Pelicans are at 3 right now. I think that they're the strongest team in the West. I think that their wins, and they have been a very strong team to this point so far. As of right now, I would take the Pelicans. I would slide the Grizzlies down to 4 and keep the Suns at 5.
Okay, well, this is where you lose me. This is, and I stated before I went into the top 5, this is at the point of the season where we sway a little bit from using everything on rankings, and you look at what teams are doing. The Grizzlies are a half game behind the Pelicans, and the Grizzlies have not been healthy whatsoever this entire season. So the Pelicans are having a great year themselves, but the Grizzlies are matching them stride for stride while dealing with injuries to their 3 best players on the roster.
I feel like you're getting a little into projections there. I'm just saying as of right now.
Yes, I am. That's what I'm saying,
but this is the top 5 right now. As of right now, I'd put the Pelicans over the Grizzlies.
That is 100% not the list, but whatever floats your boat.
Well, Freeman, I want to throw something out there. We talked about it a little bit before the show. Would you put a fully healthy but Ja Morant-less Grizzlies over the Pelicans, but a Ja Morant-led Grizzlies under the Pelicans? I know it's a very controversial topic, but it almost seems like Memphis plays better when he's not on the court for some really weird reason, even though obviously he's their best player.
And I think if you look at, there are definitely some nights where the Grizzlies are just better. A healthy Grizzlies team is just better without Ja Morant than with Ja Morant. But if we're looking down the line, big games and big moments in the playoffs, superstars, they're the ones that shine the brightest, and Ja Morant is approaching superstardom. So I think to say that the Grizzlies are better without Ja Morant is a little bit ridiculous. But, I mean, either way, the Grizzlies to this point have definitely played better than as good as the Pelicans with injuries to their 3 best players this entire season. They haven't had a entirely healthy team this entire season. So I just don't see how you could possibly put the Pelicans ahead of the Grizzlies.
Jock?
Just real quick, who are your 4 and 5 again? Sorry, in the power rankings this week?
I got number 4, the Cavaliers, number 5, the Suns.
All right, were the Pelicans the 6th team, the last team out?
They were the 6th team, yes. Okay. I just couldn't
move the 6th.
best record.
I see where you're coming from. I would put them up a little bit higher, but I understand that. I don't hate
Who
it.
would you put the Pelicans ahead of?
I would put the Pelicans ahead of as of right now, the Cavs and the Suns. I think that they've
And
looked
the Suns.
Yes,
That's
they've
just-
looked
that's
like a
just
much
crazy.
stronger team than the Suns. Again, I know Jaden's not going to want to hear this. I feel like, I don't know if you guys watch the college show. I was not sold on the Virginia Cavaliers yet. I think they're going to tank a little bit. But it's the same thing here with the Phoenix Suns. I mean, again, they're a good team. They're a good playoff team. I don't think they're going to go very far. I'm not sold on this team at all this year. I'm a massive advocate for Devin Booker, but I'm not a fan of this team this year.
You got any
The
reasoning
Suns?
though? Is there
What do you mean you don't have any reasoning? The strength of wins. Suns have had a cupcake schedule so far. Pelicans have been balling. And
Okay,
Pelicans have been
I also agree that the Suns won't go very far, but you
Thank
have to also look at their roster. Their roster is
their
very
roster's great,
good.
but they've had a cupcake schedule. They've had a cupcake schedule so far.
And I don't know if this helps or hurts New Orleans, but they currently have the longest win streak so far in the NBA.
I mean, listen,
Does
they've
does
just been,
really nothing for me. If
All
I'm
right,
being
I just threw it out there. I didn't know. If
No, I
it
got
was-
it.
I mean, listen, I'm not here to argue. It's a couple spots, so it's not that big of a deal to me. As long as they're around there, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think there's only like 6 or 7 teams that can
Yeah.
really argue for the top. So I mean, whatever Freeman had of those 7 teams, we'll say is
Yeah.
fine. Jaden, you have something to add?
I want to know, like, what is such a big difference between the Pelicans and the Suns? I mean, they're playing the same schedule.
There's
They're
not
playing
a
the
well,
same schedule, and the Suns
Pelicans-
have a better record.
They're not
Pelicans
playing the
schedule
same
has been much
schedule.
harder.
Actually,
If you look at the past games, they're all playing the same team.
all right, I'll fact check this myself.
I will as well.
There you go, Nate.
It's the Pelicans have a significantly stronger schedule than
Thank you.
the Suns have had to this point.
The
But
Suns are about
then-
to play the Celtics, the best team in the NBA.
About
But then again, you have to look at the entire body of work. But then again, I think the Phoenix Suns have a better roster, like talent-wise.
yes, and I would agree with that. And I would
So then-
agree with that.
Oh,
If we're talking power
Jaden,
rankings,
I'm really sorry to burst your bubble here, but the Suns have played the Pistons,
Thank you. They've had a
the
couple.
Magic, the Heat, the
and not that-
Bulls,
and
the
not that
Rockets, the Spurs. I mean,
Yeah.
that
and
is
not that
Not a great
every team
schedule.
not that every team in the league plays those teams. But
Okay,
look,
okay. The Pelicans are playing the Pistons tomorrow. They
Okay,
played
Alright.
the
okay,
Spurs.
every team in the league.
This is
okay. How about
getting
this? How about
Doesn't
this? How
matter.
about you just say, "Oh, there's
All right. No.
the next
I'm
5
cutting.
games,
I'm
the
cutting this
Suns
off.
play the
I'm cutting this
Pelicans
off.
Nate,
one
I'm
time."
Nate,
I'm
we're good.
cutting this off
Every
right now.
team
Go
in the
ahead.
league-
Go
I'm
ahead.
every
cutting this
team in
off
the
right now.
league-
Circle Friday, we're playing the Pelicans. Circle
I said
Friday,
that.
we're playing the Pelicans.
Okay, all right, fine.
You
Every
play
team
them
in
the
the league
next.
plays.
You play them 3 out of the next 5. You better
All right.
win.
Okay.
Jock, go
Every
ahead
team
before
in
we
the
move
league
on.
plays those garbage teams. We got that. It's not my point. As of right now, up to now, the Pelicans have had a stronger strength of schedule and have been winning the tougher games. Not that the Suns haven't either. I've been watching a lot of NBA recently. As of right now, I like what I have seen out of the Pelicans. As a team, they've had much more productive numbers on offense. The defenses are about the same. They're about even. It's not that much of a margin. The offense on the Pelicans has been much better as of right now.
It's the same
And-
margin between offense and defense. The Pelicans average 1 more point per game than the Suns do, and the Suns average 1 less point per game given up than the Pelicans do. They're a very balanced team.
I agree. I think that they're very close. I'm just saying, I think
Yeah.
that the Suns, I think that by the end of the season, the Suns will be the better team. I think that they have the more talented roster, but as of what I have seen so far, I would put the Pelicans a spot over the Suns.
But I
That's
think we can
great.
all agree they're just about interchangeable.
Yes, and I agree with that. I'm just saying my opinion is that I would flip them. And that's
Sure.
my opinion. But they're very,
That's
very
not
close.
necessarily the list, though. Like, this is a power. This is what they've done up until this point, and then also
And the
take
Pelicans
into
have shown
account
more than the Suns. I get the Suns are
but,
first.
but then also the talent on the team. I think
the
Freeman's
talent
trying
on
to
the
say.
team plays a huge factor as well. So that's why I give Suns the
I
edge.
hear
They
you.
have more
I hear
talent.
you.
And I mean, Jock, in my opinion, I think you still have a bit of an argument if we want to talk talent on the team. I think the Pelicans
I
just
think
talent overall.
definitely.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
mean, Brandon
Yeah.
Ingram's been great. Zion, obviously.
So I mean, yeah, I think it could really go both ways. Nonetheless, those are 2 very fun teams. The Pelicans, not really out of nowhere. Some people predicted it. The Suns are always an elite regular season team. It's been a pretty weird season so far, guys. We got into a little bit right there, but Guac, give us some season takeaways of what you've
Yeah.
seen so far.
So I got a little segment here. I've been looking forward to this one. I have a lot of stats and a lot of things I want to throw out here and see a couple comments from you guys. So Ben, Jaden, Nate, I know you guys are a little bit older than me. I'm only 16. But all my 16 years on this planet of watching NBA basketball, to me, this has been one of the most, I don't know what's the word here, but I'm going to say surprising years, I want to say. I feel like there's been a lot of breakout players, breakout teams, and a lot of things that we didn't see coming in the preseason. So I want to run through you guys a couple of key. I want to start with some key players that I have seen that have just broke out this year. You're talking about guys like Lauri Markkanen, Tyrese Halliburton, Alperen Sengun, and OG Anunoby. Those are a bunch of guys that I feel like in the preseason, other than maybe Halliburton, all of us were not very high on. Could we all agree there? Other than Halliburton, maybe?
OG Anunoby, I would not say people weren't very high on. They just thought he would play the role he always
in
played.
your
Oh, come on. No one projected him to be.
Yeah, what he is now. I don't, like everyone.
Yeah, like everyone thought
Yeah.
he was gonna play his role perfectly. They didn't expect him to be this good, though.
That's my point.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of those guys are breaking out, and then I feel like the two biggest breakout players to me so far. Number one, it has to be SGA. I mean, we know how good this guy is, but he's playing at an almost MVP caliber level on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Excuse me. What?
You said almost. I would say he's playing at an MVP caliber.
I would say he's top. He's on the bottom end of the top 5 in MVPs. I think
That's
as of right now.
MVP caliber. Yeah, I would say it's MVP caliber.
I mean, we know how good this guy is and how young and how great his talent is, but I don't think anybody expected this. And my second guy, I feel like, who's been balling out that nobody expected is Lauri Markkanen. I think he's established himself. I want to say he's a star at this point. I mean, he is carrying this Jazz team that was supposed to be a tank for Victor team, and they could be a playoff team. I mean, I think that regression that we talked about earlier in the show is going to kick in a little bit. I don't think that they're as strong as a second seed in the West, but I think that they could be a decent team. I think Markkanen's been balling out. One more thing I want to touch on a big comeback player. My favorite, I'm not saying he's going to win like a comeback player or anything, but my favorite story of this NBA offseason, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but Dennis Smith Jr., ex-Knicks, sorry. Have any of you guys heard about his story in the offseason?
Yeah, he tried to go to the NFL.
Yeah. So he got cut by the Blazers, tried to become a linebacker in the NFL, got picked up by the Hornets, and now he's currently averaging 27 minutes a game, 11 points and 6 assists, and becoming a decent role player on the Hornets.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Is Dennis Smith Jr. not 6 foot, like 6'1"?
He's a very short guy.
And like maybe like what, 180, 190?
Yeah, well, he was putting on weight.
He like gained a lot of weight over the offseason.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the Dennis Smith Jr. I know is very athletic, but man, he is not an NFL linebacker.
I mean, he was trying to put on weight. He was trying to become an NFL player.
I could try too, but
I know he was out of a job. Couple of teams I feel like that have stuck out to me. There's 3 big teams I feel like that we're projecting much lower than they are right now. I feel like it's the Pacers, the Kings, and the Jazz. I feel like those are the 3 big teams that nobody expected them to be this good. Pacers are the number one. I talked about them in the preseason. I'll take a little bit of pride here. I had them as one of my dark horse teams to be I'm not going to give you a number of finish, but a very good contending team in the East. That's what they are. They've been the 4th seed in the East for a long time now. I think that they could be a strong playoff play-in team, bubble team around there. They're a good team. Kings, again, my favorite team as of right now in the NBA. Love them. Strong playoff playing team wherever they make it. And then the Jazz, I mean, again, just another team that I feel like everybody slept on in the preseason that has been a big boom team so far in this NBA season. So for me, this has just been a really awkward and strange, kind of like blown up NBA season. What do you guys think?
I want to throw something out there real quick. Jock, you're talking about teams that stand out to you. How about the Miami Heat being at the number 9 seed right now?
I wanted to get to that. I mean, I wanted to say that I feel like there's a couple teams really on the downfall that we didn't expect. The Lakers being one. I mean, they're really just declining. Heat declining. What?
I wouldn't be so quick to the Lakers. I know I have been down.
Oh, no. Stop it. I get AD's playing a lot better, but
all year, AD is playing like, if we're talking the past 2 weeks, he's playing like an MVP caliber player. Obviously, going to keep it up, probably not. But the past 2 weeks, he's playing like an MVP caliber player. They're 8-2 in their last 10. I mean, I feel like the Lakers are going to finish around what they were expected to be at, which is like a play-in team.
I don't think they're going to make a play-in this year.
Whoa. We're not even having a spicy guac take, but I think
No,
you just threw it on.
they're not making a plan this year. That team is so awful. AD is not going to put up more than 35 a game. I don't think he can. I don't think he will.
35 a game?
Yeah.
AD is in conversation for
saying that.
MVP the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
if you're basing it off the past 2 weeks. But if we're talking about projections here, he's not going to keep that up all season. He's old. He's going to get injured. It's what AD does.
He's like 31 at most.
No, I think
he gets injured.
I'm fairly confident Anthony Davis is in his 20s.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's like 28 actually.
Well,
stop it. He is not 28.
He's 29.
29.
Wow.
There you go.
All right. He's not that old, but he's also very injury prone. He's very injury prone.
Yes, his legs are made of glass.
Yes, one of the most injury prone players.
I would can't bank on an injury.
I can when it's if you're talking about guys.
Would you rather bank on an injury or a player who's literally playing at an MVP caliber level?
The two guys I can bank on injuries always are Kawhi and him.
Okay, John.
Go ahead, Freeman.
How do you feel about the Clippers then?
The Clippers?
Yes, the Clippers.
I love them. Love them.
So but why do you love them when their best player is in that injury-prone category?
Because they have guys that can step up and fill in those roles. The Lakers
besides Paul George.
Paul George is good.
No, he's not the MVP candidate you said he was.
He's not, but he's a very good player. He's a B-tier star. That's what he is. He's not an A-tier. He's a B-tier star.
You were just saying he's like an MVP like a couple weeks ago.
Who would be on that tier with him?
Is LeBron not there?
I would say guys like the lower level stars, guys like De'Aaron Fox. I feel like is one off the top of my head that I'll put on the same tier as Paul George.
De'Aaron Fox would be like an A-tier star.
Guy like Beal.
No, I'm not. I like
a guy like Beal. I would put on the same tier as him.
Okay, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, he's making a lot of sense. Like this makes a lot. If we were to do a tier list, which is actually a really cool
I would not put him on the.
I know that's a future video, Ben. That's a future video.
I would not put him on the same tier as guys like Tatum, Steph, Giannis, Luka. No, that's the A-tier guys. I think he's a step down. I think he's a good number one option, but needs some help around.
I thought we also had an S tier. Okay, yeah, then he's B tier.
No, he's the second tier superstars in my opinion.
And whoa. Superstar and Paul George should not be mentioned in the same sentence.
Star. I'll let Star be there.
You have your A-tier players. I'm just players. You have your A-tier players, and I think he's a B-tier player. I think he's the second tier down.
Sure.
After like
that's fair. I can get behind that.
And we can all agree that the Clippers' depth and roster is much better than the Lakers.
That's fine, but the Lakers. I'm saying that.
The Lakers and the Clippers might. I have a feeling.
Okay, but I get that. All right, theoretically, I'm not. Again, I understand where you're coming from. Theoretically, if Anthony Davis gets hurt and misses a good chunk of the season, are the Lakers a play-in team?
Depending on how their role players step up.
But this is such a hypothetical. Like this is a crazy. If Anthony Davis goes down with a season-ending injury. Like, this is a huge thing you're banking on here. I just don't see.
No, I'm not saying
there's
too
many X factors here.
I agree.
With Anthony Davis, I just think with how talented the West is at the moment, I don't see him making the play-in. Maybe they squeak in as the 10th seed, the last seed.
Okay, but with Anthony Davis, let's say he plays the full season.
I still think they're a play-in team.
Play in. You said, John?
Play in. One of the top. I think they're a bottom 5 team in the West. I think that they are a bottom 5 team.
I could name 5 teams in the West that are worse than the Lakers.
I don't think you can.
Nate, let's go ahead. Why not? Go for it.
Rockets, Spurs.
Okay.
I will say the Timberwolves.
Oh no! Stop it. That is just disrespectful.
I will say the Timberwolves.
I have not been high on them at all. That's disrespectful. I would.
All right, well, Nate, keep going. You got at least one more team.
See, this is where
yeah.
You're missing a glaring one.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to.
I mean, if you're not looking at it, I'll help you out. OKC.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I was thinking South region.
So 3 teams that I think are worse than the Lakers. That's what I'm saying. Like, unless you bank on that the Jazz are going to have a dramatic regression, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they're a play-in team. But you can't say that the Lakers are better than most of the teams above them. You just can't. As of right now, at least.
I can say that, but I can say they can give a competent game to all of those teams, except.
And I would agree with you there. But I just don't think as of right now you can say that they're better than any of those teams.
Freeman.
This is my issue. I can absolutely if you're using these projecting ahead, like you're saying, you're gonna assume Anthony Davis gets hurt, which I think
I'm
is
not,
a
but
little
I'm not. I'm not assuming that. I'm saying even if he's healthy, I don't care if he's injured or healthy. It doesn't matter to me. I still think that they're not a playing team.
I just, with the way that they've been playing recently, with Russ finally finding a stride, and then
isn't Russ like avraging 50, 40, 90 right now?
Russ is becoming a Man of the Year candidate. I know we're gonna get into that a little later.
We'll get into that.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying now that they got everybody healthy and they're starting to roll, they're 8-2 in their last 10. I'm not saying they're obviously not going to keep that exact pace the rest of the year, but you'd have to like them to improve moving forward. I mean, especially
that they're improved right into the 11th seed in the West, and I think that's their ceiling.
I just
the 11th seed in the West.
Who's calling a team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis.
Oh, LeBron! I know. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. He's so washed, in my opinion. I think he's so washed.
Like what does that mean?
Like where would you put
Vince Carter washed when he was 40?
No.
Hey, Vince Carter almost threw down a dunk, though. Let's not forget that.
LeBron is like a B-tier player at this point in his career.
So Paul George? What does that mean?
He's like on a Paul George level, yeah.
That's a very good player.
Thank you.
That's a very good player.
Oh, I think
that's an oxymoron. I hope you know that you just contradicted yourself.
You're gonna tell me as of right now, LeBron is an A-tier player in the league.
No, but you just made an argument for Paul George saying he's good, and then you put LeBron saying he's washed in the same tier.
I'm not hating on LeBron. He's a good player. He's a good player, but he's really regressing a lot.
Well, I mean, you go from the best player in the NBA.
Yes, but I will like to say your argument is not very helpful here.
To me, that last ring, the Mickey ring, Matt talked about it, the Mickey Mouse ring in the bubble, I feel like that was like his last big accomplishment left. I feel like that was it for him winning.
Not playing with Bronny would be his big accomplishment.
I mean, I don't see what you're talking about. He's shooting incredibly efficiently, averaging 27, 7, and 7.
I will also like to say, wait, did his efficiency numbers go up?
Go ahead, Freeman.
Explain to me how LeBron James is washed and should be put on the same level as Paul George.
Hold up, let me pull up the right numbers this week, Matt. What
are you pulling up?
He's averaging 26, 8, and 6.
9 and 7, really. It's 9 and 7 if we're really.
We'll go 9 and 7.
50% shooting. So how is LeBron on the
Wait, where are you getting the shooting splits?
Dude, hold on.
Go ahead.
How is LeBron on the same level as Paul George?
Okay.
LeBron
can you read me out LeBron's numbers again?
26,
7, and 7, around there, roughly.
Okay. Paul George is 24. Paul George is 24, 6, and 5. I mean, those are very similar numbers. I mean,
what's the shooting split?
Paul George is and what is Paul George shooting from the field, if you don't mind me asking?
I can double check for you right now. 46.2%.
So LeBron James is scoring more points, is more efficient, is having
by a narrow margin. That's my point. By a narrow margin, he's not an A-tier player anymore. He's a B-tier player.
But he's not. Then there needs to be more tiers, because to say that LeBron James on the same tier as Paul George right now,
it's not blasphemous at all. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's quite true.
I think if we do a tier list, you need to put S, A, and then B, and then like C, D, F, or however you want to do it.
I'm not really interested in constructing a tier list. I'm
not really either. I think that they're very close as of right now, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think LeBron, he's still a great contributor to that team. I just think I think he is, and he's going to continue to just start taking massive steps back in his career.
I disagree with that, with the massive steps back, because 27, 7, and 7 is still great. But, Jock, I will be behind you with the Paul George kind of similarity and skill, because I love Paul George, and I still think LeBron is great. So I disagree with you on the fact that LeBron is becoming like washed. I think that is atrocious. But I do agree with you on the fact that I agree with myself that Paul George is very underrated. And to put him and LeBron James on the same level, for me, is not outrageous. That's still a top 20, top 25 player in the league. You pair that with Anthony Davis, who's an MVP candidate if he stays healthy the entire season. That now I'll go against you again. Now the Lakers are easily a play-in team in my eyes.
Yeah. I think LeBron has regressed to the point in his career where he's no longer the number one. But
he's still incredible.
Yeah.
LeBron James, I mean, this is how I view it in my eyes. I think your top tier players are your, Steph Curry's, your Giannis's, your Luka's. And then I think when you take and there's a few more to that. Once you take your first step back, is when you get to the superstars. I think that's where LeBron James falls, averaging 27.
And that's what Paul George is as well, in my opinion.
No, I would not call Paul George a superstar. I think that they are relatively close, but we list out the numbers. LeBron James just does every single thing that Paul George does.
At a very similar level. LeBron's numbers maybe a little bit higher, but they're very
every
close.
Single category. So LeBron James is clearly
by a very narrow margin. By a very narrow margin.
3 more points, 2 more rebounds, and 2 more assists. That's
pretty
significant.
It's not a big margin. Is that really
That's pretty significant.
Margin?
That's pretty significant.
I disagree with you. 3 points,
2 rebounds, 3 assists. That's significant.
Yeah, I will not lie. The three assists and the 3 points can turn into like 12 points. So that's a lot more points getting added to the team.
That he puts on the board that he's responsible for his team. LeBron James is clearly a better player than Paul George. They're similar, yes, I'll give you that, but
yes, I never said he was a better player. I'm just saying that they're similar. I never said he was a better player.
Jock, and I'm going to be with you here, man. I mean, Freeman, I want to throw something out there. I know it sounds weird because the Lakers have these massive, like, big names, but do you think Paul George is able to not need the ball in his hands as much on the Clippers as LeBron does on the Lakers? Because, I mean, I know LeBron has AD when he's playing and Russell Westbrook and guys like that, but the Clippers look like a really good team in the West. So, I mean, does PG not have the ball in his hands as much, but is still making a massive impact?
So we touched on it earlier on in the year when it was just Paul George before Kawhi Leonard came back. And the Clippers are struggling mightily on offense. And Paul George's numbers have picked up since Kawhi Leonard has entered back into the lineup. And then, the Clippers record has gone up with that. So I think it's great that Paul George can have this production while being the number 2 option. But I think there has to be something has to be said for LeBron kind of having to carry most of the load. I understand Anthony Davis is having one heck of a year, but LeBron James has the ball in his hands facilitating that. I think that has to be taken into account, that the offense runs through LeBron in Los Angeles for the Lakers, and the offense doesn't necessarily run through Paul George for the Clippers.
Which I think is very fair, but Jock, I don't remember if you mentioned this, but Freeman, I think we can agree that Paul George is a better defender than LeBron James. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think, like, LeBron, in my opinion, is still a better player, but I think that does move Paul George a lot closer than you give him credit for.
That's right. I agree.
All right, that's fine then. LeBron is better, but to say it's close is fine.
Yes, and I agree with you there.
All right, perfect. We'll move on to our very final segment before we hit all the award predictions. So, Freeman, I mentioned it before. It's part 2 today. We always go with the spicy guac. However, we have another Kentucky Fried free take. So, Freeman, hit us.
I'm ready for this.
Yeah, so my take, it's a bit of a bold one, but I'm 100% behind it. I think that the best move for the Sacramento Kings franchise is to tank and to start right now. For the 2022 season, the Sacramento Kings should tank and begin to lose games, and that's the best thing for their organization.
So you think they should just sell? Go for selling and tank.
Yes, that's what he thinks.
If I'm the president of basketball operations for the Kings,
keep De'Aaron Fox or no though.
Oh no, you're keeping your roster. You're keeping your roster. You just lose games.
So Nate, are you behind him on that? Are you against this?
I'm behind it, but I would say trade De'Aaron Fox.
So even though the Kings
or Davion Mitchell.
Can I go here, please?
Trade one of the guards. That's what I would say. Trade one of your guards.
Go here. All right.
Go ahead, John.
I think we all agree I've been the biggest Kings advocate on this show by far.
We know.
Yes, we know.
I love this team. I think that I disagree with him here. I don't heavily disagree with him because they're by no means a championship team. Don't get me wrong here. But for me, this is the first season where I feel like the Kings fans and the Kings players and the team as a whole have something to look forward to. I think that they are a borderline playoff play-in team. I think that they can make a decent playoff push. I think that they could cause a little bit of upsets in the West. I think that this is a good team built around 2 stars in Fox and Sabonis. I think that they got their young guy in Keegan Murray and guys like Kevin Huerter stepping up. I think that this is a fairly decent team that, again, I think that they're around a playoff team to this point at least. I think that they will be by the end of the season. I think that to say to tank and lose games as of right now it's just not. I think that they should get a middle of the road draft pick, draft a decent role player, and I think that they could be a really good team in a couple of years. But to say that they're, again, that's hypothetical, but to say that they should start tanking right now and losing games, I would not agree with you there.
Freeman?
So this is where I have a problem. So you brought up that it gives something, the Kings fans something to look forward to. I think Kings fans would sacrifice a playoff appearance this year if it meant they would be able to win a ring in the next 5 years. There's no doubt about
The
it.
top 2 picks are solid in this next draft.
Well, okay, I'm saying if they were to tank, hypothetically, everyone is pretty close together in both conferences right now in terms of record. So, any team that is clearly tanking, like look at the Spurs, like they're going to have decent odds to get one of those top picks. So if the Kings went down this route, they would still have good odds to get one of the top picks in this draft. But they have De'Aaron Fox, who's 24, Kevin Huerter, 24, Malik Monk, 24, Sabonis is 26, and Keegan Murray is 22. That's a very good young core.
Yeah,
But they just simply cannot compete. Their roster does not stack up. If we're just looking in the West, the roster doesn't stack up with the Grizzlies. Doesn't stack up with the Suns or Warriors or Clippers.
They need a 3. They need a number 3 option.
They need a star. They need a
superstar, or they need more young talent. So hopefully one of them grows into a superstar. So my point is, they will do absolutely nothing in the playoffs. They will lose undoubtedly to the Grizzlies, Suns, Warriors, Clippers, Pelicans.
I mean, again, anything happens in the playoffs.
It's not March Madness. There's really not.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no. What I would say is the problem with the Kings is the only player on that roster with playoff experience, I'm pretty sure, is Sabonis, right?
That's exactly what I was going to touch on next. The Kings have absolutely zero playoff experience. And, you guys touched on the superstar factor. The superstars, they're the players that really take over in the playoffs. The Grizzlies have Ja, and this is just in the West. The Grizzlies have Ja. The Suns have Devin Booker. The Warriors have Steph. Clippers have Kawhi. Mavericks have Luka, and the Nuggets have Jokic. The Kings if they make the playoffs, are a lock to be a first-round exit, in my opinion. And even if they do somehow pull off a miracle, they are not going anywhere after that. It just doesn't make any sense to me to stay at the middle of the road this year and just say, oh, we made the playoffs, we broke the drought. I would tank, see if you can get a stud in this year's upcoming draft, and then add to that young core and look towards the future.
Can I go over here? Yeah.
Yep.
So I agree with what Matt's saying so far. I get exactly where he's coming from. Young core. I'm almost like leaning middle now, I would say. You almost got me. I'm not there yet. I'll give you a little bit of credit there, Matt. But
I appreciate that.
Other than Victor in this draft, I don't know how familiar
Scooter Henderson or Scooter.
You can't say.
Can you guys let me get my point out, please?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you really think, other than Victor, maybe Scoot, that there's a really that much? Again, I get it's a lot of projection stuff and a lot of unknowns, but do you think that there's really like a dynasty guy? Like
I don't have a crystal ball, and neither do you. Jokic was a second-round pick. He's a 2-time MVP. Giannis was a mid-first rounder, and he's 2-time MVP.
I think that
there's so many players.
I think that the best chance that the Kings have is making a move for a superstar and basing him around with this young core.
You want the Kings to get a superstar?
Yes, I think the Kings should trade for a middle-aged guy that can be a number one on a team with a bunch of young guys, which can grow their experience.
This is my opinion.
Like
this is what I would say.
Go ahead, Nate.
I would say they tank, and they need to trade one of their young players. And I'm not gonna lie, I think the only person who has trade value would be Sabonis and Fox. So they would have to choose which one they would have to.
I think trading Fox is basically rebuild the team at that point. I think if you trade Sabonis for some value,
but then
you trade Sabonis and another guy, and you get a good player. I would do that. I think when the Kings trade,
I would low key prefer Pascal Siakam on the Kings
over Sabonis.
Yeah,
very similar.
I don't hate that at all, but I think that
it's
trade De'Aaron Fox is the end of the.
I think Siakam's better, but that's just me personally.
But that doesn't launch them into title contention. If you're trading Sabonis for
It's
past
like
Siakam, not doing it.
decent for decent at that point.
So-
It's not
so-
like
That's
they're
what I'm
doing a
saying.
big
So,
upgrade.
Jock, what would be the player you would trade? Like, what would be?
I
if
could not
you're the
tell you off
Kings
the top of my
GM,
head.
what
Like
direction do you go?
I'm not. I couldn't tell you like a player like off the top of my head to trade for. Like I'm not here to like theoretically say, oh, they should go trade for Zion. It's not going to happen. But I think that they should try and get one of the bigger guys on the free agency market in the next couple of years. I can maybe look into next week for the free agency market. Look at guys who I think that they should go get for their team to try and bring in and
They
make
need a
this
small
team a better
forward.
team.
The
They need a
Sacramento
small forward or a
Kings.
power forward.
Yes,
The
they need a forward.
Sacramento Kings in franchise history have not landed one significant free agent in franchise history.
But they
Players
have
don't
to if
wanna
they
go
want
to
to be.
No,
play
I
in
think no, I
Sacramento.
think they did. I think they did, but this was like the early 2000s.
You tell me who did they land that was a significant superstar?
I don't know if they landed him or if they traded for him, but I know they ended up getting like a big time guy during like that year that it was.
I'm not.
I'm not-
It's not that important, but
It's not
Yeah.
ringing many bells in the top of my
Not
head.
ringing
Jaden,
any
Jaden, you have
bells.
anything?
Yeah, going back to last week, I know we were talking about a specific guy, and honestly, I think that this guy would be a number one on the Sacramento Kings, and it's Klay Thompson.
Oh,
No,
Klay
stop it.
Thompson's
Stop
not
it. Stop
number
it.
one
RJ
anywhere.
Barrett. I would say
Klay-
RJ Barrett would be perfect for the Kings.
You know what?
Oh Lord!
No,
all right,
I
let me
don't
go
hate
here.
that
RJ,
whatsoever.
all right. The Knicks. All right, this is. I'm sorry for going a little bit off topic here. Knicks need to blow up this team. We are atrocious. They need
What
to
are you
get
talking
Julius
about?
Randle
In the
120
preseason, you were hyping
million.
him up
Yeah,
so
you
much.
better blow
The
up.
Jalen Brunson.
We
You
gotta
paid
blow
Jalen
up.
Brunson 120
The
and
Knicks
Julius
need to get rid
Randle.
of every young piece that they have for draft picks. And
What do
just-
you mean, Jock? I thought Jalen Brunson was bringing you to like the championship.
Jalen Brunson
All
is
right,
a middle of the road mid.
To reel it back to the Kings,
Yeah.
Jock. Something else I wanted to bring up is, it's Sacramento. Freeman brought up the history. You're talking about free agency. How do you convince guys that Sacramento is the place to be if you want to win?
And that's the other thing for me. I think that if they make the playoffs this year, or the playoff or play-in, because I'm not saying that they're a guaranteed playoff team. If they make a little bit of a run, maybe they win a series or two. I think that
Or two.
attracts.
A series or two. That's like
A series or
making the
two puts you in the Western
Finals.
Conference Finals. I want to say that.
Yeah,
If
that's
they're a
not.
playing team, it doesn't. I'm saying maybe they win the play-in and they win another series. Like
Who are they
that could
beating?
happen.
Who
What?
do you see? Who do you see them beating?
I'm
of-
just saying it could happen. I'm not saying that they're better than any of these teams.
I'm telling you, it can't happen. I'm telling you, it can't. They're not beating the Grizzlies.
The
in
best I
series.
see them doing is taking 2 games against all of the top teams.
That I agree. I agree 100%. I don't think they're beating the Suns, especially when the Suns have that game 7 at home. They're not
I
beating
just
the
think that
Pelicans.
seeing them move up in the standings, maybe draw a little bit towards them in the free agency market, especially with the young core and the talent that they can base around a team, that this team can grow a lot in the next. They have a small win. I feel like the Kings window is like this. I think Matt mentioned they're all ages pretty much like 21 to 24. They have this window, I feel like, where you got to put one guy in there to help grow these players and make them become a good team. Because there's a lot of guys on this team that can grow and become really good role players on a championship contending team, but in my opinion, they just need one more guy. They need that number one option. And I think waiting on another draft pick to surface that's going to be that good of a player is not going to happen unless they're going to get Victor. So
I don't know.
What is getting
yeah.
bounced in the first round of playoffs do for you as a franchise, though?
I mean, the Kings
I
have
You
been
missed out on a
I
pick.
feel like the Kings have been the laughing stock of the league for the past 10 years. I mean, they
I
are
agree.
always
So what is this? A moral victory, or are we trying to get back into, or not back, try to get into finals contention? You have a good core here. Why not continue to build it versus get a participation medal because you made the play-in or you made the playoff? It wouldn't be that important to me if I'm in charge of
I
the
think
Sacramento
with-
Kings.
If the Kings tank, they need to use that pick. But if they don't, I would like them to use it for a trade, like
I would love to
RJ
see-
Barrett.
Who
I
or
would love
Bradley
to see
Beal.
the Kings make a trade. I think that unless the Kings get Victor in this draft, from what I've seen, I've been looking at a lot of draft rankings recently, looking at a lot of different prospects. I think that, again, there's these young guys that you can bang on their potential. But correct me if I'm wrong, do the Kings not have 2 draft picks in the first round this year? I could be wrong there. But can someone correct me?
I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure. But if they do, how does that help your argument.
If they do, I think that they trade one. I agree with Nate here. I really love what Nate is saying here. I think that they should trade a pick and like Sabonis for a really like decent player, like a
Like
really
who?
good.
Like who? Who would
I
be your
can't name
example?
that off the top of my head, man. I'm trying.
I would
gotta
say-
give me someone. Like you're just.
I could say it
an
right now.
anonymous
I
player?
could give you 3 players who I think would fit well on the Kings.
Sure. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's hear it.
I would say RJ Barrett would be one.
I would say
Whether or
that's
not
a
the
good-
the
that's a
Knicks
good
do
fit,
that-
but I don't know if Sabonis and a first rounder are doing it for the Knicks.
Well, let's just list them off, Nate, and then we'll go over them a little bit.
Bradley Beal, which would take a lot more than a.
Oh, I would love
Sabonis in
Bradley
a
Beal
first
on the
round.
Kings.
No, I wouldn't.
And
Okay,
then I
thanks.
would also say a guy like Tyler Hero, but I don't know. I doubt that he would
We're
also
not
do
trading
that.
for
I
Tyler.
don't know if that's that
I
number
like
one
the
option.
I like the Beal one there. I think Beal on the Kings can make a big impact. And then
What about Andrew Wiggins?
He's a role player.
That's another one too. It's just if the
No,
Beal-
Warriors
no,
want to tear it
no,
up.
not a role player.
Beal
What
is
was
a
Jalen
superstar.
Brunson? What was Jalen
Oh,
Brunson
dude,
last
All
year?
right, hold up. Are
Andrew
you
Wiggins
telling me-
could actually.
Are you
be
putting
good.
Andrew Wiggins and Bradley Beal in the same tier?
No.
No
No
one
one should
said
be.
that.
Oh,
But you
thank
just said you just called Andrew Wiggins a role player.
Yes.
What was and you think Jalen Brunson is a great player for the Knicks right now, correct?
I think he's a middle of the road player. He's a borderline role player. Yeah.
Bro,
He's
you
not-
were just saying like he's
Oh.
like gonna bring you to like all these different places. What are you saying right
I'm
now?
Yeah,
not gonna
I
lie.
mean-
Jalen Brunson is like a low tier star. He's the best
Yeah.
player in the Knicks. So I think why can't Andrew Wiggins do that? We saw his scoring ability last year, especially down the line in the playoffs. Why not give him a fresh start? But this would be my argument. I think the only player in this entire league that if you put him on the Kings, both like schematically and just has enough talent and to take them to a point where they are a contender for the NBA championship, it's only Giannis. I don't see anyone else you can put on
I
this
can
team
name
right
a
now.
couple of the guys.
Who could you put on this team
I would say
that could shoot the
But
Kings to
I would say
title contention?
Luka. I would say Luka. I would say Tatum. I think
Where's
SGA.
Luka fitting? Where's
What?
Luka fitting on this team?
You have
Where's
two
Luka
ball
fitting?
hogs at that point.
Where's
What?
Luka fitting?
What do you mean, like position wise? And like
Position wise, yeah.
he's the shooting guard on that team. What?
He's a shooter. So we're Kevin Herter's playing your three.
It's a small forward. Keegan
Okay,
Murray's a
first
four.
off, first
now
off,
we're
first off,
getting
first off, I
schematic,
would
like,
put
this is
Luka at the
just out of
3,
hand now.
and Keegan Murray comes off the bench. But then again, you still run into the problem where you have De'Aaron Fox and Luka on the same team.
We're in major
That's
hypothetical
exactly
land,
correct.
guys. I want
Yeah.
to throw that out there. Like we're
Yeah.
in major hypotheticals. So Friedman, Jock, and Nate, Jaden, if you guys just want to give like last statements on which side
Yeah.
you fall on, and then we can move on.
Matt made the take, so I'll go first. I'll let Matt finish it out. I don't hate it. I think that there's logic for both sides here. I think that the Kings, to me, again, I hate to be like that, like it's so like projectability, but for me, I don't think that the Kings are going to get their superstar out of this draft, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to come this year. So for me, I think that play the season out, play the best that they can, try and land a big free agent is their best move and their best interest to me. But I can see Matt's take here. I don't hate it, and I'm like 55-45 here, leaning towards not tanking. I would say it's very close for me. Matt did, I would say, sway me a little bit here, but I'm gonna hold my ground, and I think that it's a bit more logical for them to just play it out and then try and land that big free agent.
Jaden, anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, just to close it off, I really like what Freed's talking about. Just like tank it the season and get a good draft pick. But if they don't do that, I mean, I'm looking trade deadline, trying to get a superstar to come to the Kings. That's all I can really say.
Nate?
I would say tank, and if that pick is not a top 5, I'd say in this draft, or top 10, I would say trade it. It's a lottery pick if you tank, so, or at least be top 15, so it'd definitely be worth it.
All right, then Freeman, if you want to try and convince Jock one last time.
Yeah. I just think that trying to get into the playoffs to most likely be a first-round exit if you get in there, it's a consolation prize. It doesn't do anything to, push your organization to the next level. I think saying that you're not going to get a superstar player out of a draft, I mean, Desmond Bane is I think everyone can agree, is a star. You got him in the second. I mean, Giannis was a mid-first rounder, I think, at the end of the lottery. Jokic was a second rounder. Like, these stars and superstars come from anywhere and everywhere. So to even have that chance at Victor or Scoot, two of the biggest would look to be superstars in this upcoming draft, and also have a higher pick to get the guy that you want to push your organization to the next level, I think that's more valuable than, getting destroyed by the Grizzlies in the first round, for example.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think Jock makes a great point. If you could find a guy, I mean, we brought him up before. Even Paul George, I don't know what his value would look like, but if you could find a way to get him on the team, someone throw out Andrew Wiggins, guys like that, I think could move the Kings up into maybe a top 4, top 5 team in their respective conference. But then also, I mean, that's a very risky because of how good the NBA is.
It's also very hypothetical of what the free agent market's going to be by the end of the season, what the trade deadline is going to look like. So, I mean, that's why it's kind of hard for me to say it, because I hate being hypothetical here because I want to put facts to it. Yeah. But it's hard because you don't know what those situations are going to look like.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like the West is just so good right now. So if you want to just play the waiting game, which I know Kings fans probably are so sick of, what is it, 20 years since they made the playoffs or something like that?
It's the Knicks 2.0. They just wait.
It's been way too long, but
then they'll lose to like a team, and then they'll take a bow in their middle of the court.
Yep.
But yeah, and then that's when I think you go down Freeman's route. So I think you go either way. You go Freeman's route. You try and find that gem with 3-4 draft picks in the first round, and really just go all at it. Or maybe you just go all in this year and get a guy like PG, get a guy like Andrew Wiggins. I definitely see both ways, guys. I'm not going to lie. You got me split 50-50 on this one. I know Freeman has a couple guys on his side, but I think, Jock, you make a great point. This Kings team has a lot of talent that they could really use for right now, but then they're also assets in terms of trade. So it could really go either way for me. I think that's a good segue into our final segment, which is an updated awards prediction for the rest of the season. That we're talking end of the year. These are the guys we think will win each of these awards. We'll start it off with Coach of the Year. So, Jaden, we'll go with you first. Who do you have at Coach of the Year?
For my Coach of the Year, I'm definitely going Joe Mazzulla with the Boston Celtics. I mean, coming in through the preseason, he definitely passed my expectations. I did not think that the Boston Celtics would be the number 1 team in the East, let alone the number 1 team in the NBA. I mean, and their NBA championship odds have just skyrocketed. And I don't know why Jock is looking at me with 15 faces, but I mean, having such offensive weapons with the Boston Celtics, and then with Robert Williams coming back off the injury report, will definitely boost them on the defensive side. So definitely, I'm going Joe Mazzulla for the Coach of the Year.
Nate?
I'm going to have to go with the Cavs head coach. I believe it is JB Bickerstaff still.
Yep.
And if it's not him, I also can see Nate McMillan of the Atlanta Hawks if they make a push to become a 3 or 2 seed only, though.
I mean, what world does that happen?
Yeah.
That's just who I see. I see JB Bickerstaff though winning it.
Oh,
okay.
Who did I take in the preseason? Who did I take in the preseason again?
That is true. Yeah, I do want to just mention who each of us.
I know you can say it. It's gonna hurt my heart, but it's definitely wrong. I think
so we'll start it off. I'll start off with Jaden first. So that was a good shout, Jack. I completely forgot to do that. Jaden had Steve Kerr winning Coach of the Year this season. It's not looking too hot, Jaden. I'll be completely honest with you, man. Nate wasn't on the show at that point. Nate, who knows who you would have taken?
I would have taken Nate McMillan at the beginning of the year, so we're just going to move past that.
I appreciate the honesty.
Just tell me mine and then wait for yours and Matt's.
That's what I'm going to do. And
I took Tom Thibodeau on my New York Knicks, correct?
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm going to go with a little bit of upset here. I'm going to take Matt's boy, Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no. Mid Coach of the Year take. All right, Freeman, we'll move to you, and then we'll move back to Jock.
Yeah, I loved Guac's pick there. I believe Taylor Jenkins was my pick at the beginning of the year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, Taylor Jenkins.
So Taylor Jenkins was my pick at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to stick with him. I agree with Jock. I mean, I touched on it earlier. He's had Ja injured. He's had Desmond Bane injured. He's had Jaren Jackson Jr. injured. And, yet the Grizzlies are still, the number 3 seed in the West, right behind the Pelicans and right behind the Suns, with all these injuries. it's a testament to Taylor Jenkins really creating a vibe in the locker room in Memphis and getting the most out of his guys. You see Tyus Jones going off the other night, 25, 10, and 5 he got. That's just Taylor Jenkins really has been getting the most out of his players, getting the most out of these Grizzlies, and I think he's a clear-cut Coach of the Year.
All right, so I'll move to my. Oh, I think Jock. So we'll let Jock make his Taylor Jenkins appeal. So Jock, you were on Taylor Jenkins before for your Coach of the Year.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I had a little bit of internet issues there.
Yep.
Am I good now?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Matt took Taylor Jenkins as well, correct? My guess would be.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, Matt. Okay.
But yeah, I think he makes good points there. I think he is the Coach of the Year. I think that the Grizzlies are going to be a championship contending team this year, and I that's really all I got. I think he's up there.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to a guy I cannot believe he wasn't mentioned. Guys, I had this coach's team 30th. If I were to make a power rankings before the season, they were the 30th. They were the worst team in the NBA. We're talking just roster. This team was awful. They blew it up. They traded away 2 stars, and now look at them. I mean, the Utah Jazz and Coach Will Hardy. I cannot believe their names have not been mentioned yet. The Jazz right now are sitting at the 8th seed, which, yeah, like it isn't incredible, but I thought they would be dead last. I'm talking below the Rockets. I'm talking below the Spurs. Somehow Lauri Markkanen looks like a concrete all-star right now. I mean, Kelly Olynyk looks great. Jordan Clarkson's playing great. Mike Conley's playing pretty solid. Walker Kessler is making a difference right now. Like it makes no sense how this team is good. For some reason, they're always a good regular season team. With Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, without Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, somehow they are way better than the Timberwolves right now after that trade. So yeah, give me Coach Will Hardy and the Jazz.
So yeah, I just want to get in on that really quick.
Same.
I agree. He has done a spectacular job with his lack of talent on that roster. Making something out of nothing. But then again, this is a bit of a prediction for down the line, an updated prediction.
It's exactly what I was going.
Yeah, I don't think you see. Personally, I don't see the Jazz. You saw them slipping. They're the top team in the West. Now they're 8th, and it's a very close margin in the West in the playoff race. But I think they're going to continue to fall, and I think we see it year in year out. You really only get that Coach of the Year vote if you are one of the top 3 teams in your respective conference. So. That's why I would go with Taylor Jenkins, and that's why I would sway away. Just the Utah Jazz have not been doing it as of late, and I think they'll continue to spiral down. But definitely impressive what they're doing in Utah.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the way that they do pick the Coach of the Year, then yeah, I would definitely change my pick. But for me, when I pick my Coach of the Year, I look at talent on the roster, expectations going into the season, and where they finished. And for me, I think they still finish as a team making the playoffs, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to stick with Will Hardy right now. End of season, I got him going all the way. So next up, we will have 6th man of the year. So Jaden, you're up first.
So for 6th man of the year, I'm probably going again with the Boston Celtics. I'm going to go with Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, Brogdon coming off the bench, he's producing for the Boston Celtics, and he's leading the team into the top team in the East. So I'm definitely going with Malcolm Brogdon of the Boston Celtics.
I mean, I also was going to go Malcolm Brogdon, but I'll change it just for the sake of it.
Sure.
Jordan Poole. I think he's a close second.
Just Jordan Poole.
Any reason? Any reason?
I'm just going off of straight points. I mean, I could say Malcolm Brogdon. I could give you reasons for Malcolm Brogdon, but
yeah. So let's say you pick Malcolm Brogdon.
Because that's your guy. So Nate picks Malcolm Brogdon because that's the guy he wanted to take.
Even though Jaden picked him, some other people might. Let's just go with who we think. So Malcolm Brogdon.
Malcolm Brogdon.
All right.
So you want to give your reason for him then?
I will. The reason why is because the team just off the bench. I mean, he just leads the second unit. He's just amazing at it.
I think it's very fair on a very good team too, Jock.
Yeah, again, I hate going into projectability stuff, but Ben, I believe he was your preseason pick for Sixth Man of the Year, and I think that he's going to continue to play better as the season goes on. Give me Christian Wood off the bench for Dallas. I mean, I think that he could really be a good contributor on this team. Again, Dallas, a little bit of a slow start. I think that they're really going to pick it up towards the end of the season. I think Luka's is too good of a player. I think that he needs a couple of his guys around him to step up in big ways. I think Wood could be one of those guys off the bench to really put in valuable minutes, valuable points off the bench. So give me Christian Wood, a lot of upside in him.
I would like to ask though, does Christian Wood become a starter before the end of the year though?
I cannot tell you who the starting center on the Mavericks
I don't
is
believe
now.
he started at all really this year to this point. So unless there's a drastic change, he will qualify for Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah.
So regardless of if
it's hard to predict substitutions and where guys are going to slot in the lineup as well. Jock, actually, real quick before you go, Freeman, Jock reminded me once again, the second time already this episode. He mentioned I picked Christian Wood. Everyone else, which means Matt and Jaden, you guys went Jordan Poole during the preseason.
I believe I went Jordan Poole as well, correct?
Yep, yeah, Jock, you went Jordan Poole.
I mean, still could definitely happen. I just don't like the Warriors situation so far. I mean, there'll be a good team coming out of the season, but I like the ceiling of Christian Wood as of right now. I like the growth he can have this year. So give me Christian Wood.
Sure. So Freeman, I cut you off. So
all good. I'm gonna go with the most overhated player, maybe in all of sports. And Russell Westbrook is absolutely. Contender. I'll read out what I'm gonna say, and then I really want to address the no.
Go ahead. Let's hear it first.
We're talking about a guy whose shooting numbers have drastically improved. They're now at a mid spot in terms of
a whopping like 30% from three or something like that.
He's shooting 43% from the field. That's right around just a little bit below your guy. Just a little bit below your guy, Paul George. See, I like to talk about actual facts here, not just throw your hand like that.
What's you shooting from three? Just curious.
It doesn't matter. His volume he doesn't shoot threes very often. That's why his 3-point percentage is so low. Yet his field goal percentage is at a pretty good spot right now. He's averaging
above league average.
He's averaging 15 points per game with 5 rebounds and almost 8 assists coming off the bench. I mean, he's leading this Lakers team to a huge turnaround, and I believe that the Lakers might be able to sniff a play-in spot. And if that's the case, then I think it's going to be led by Russell Westbrook off the bench for the Lakers. And I just would like to know what was so ridiculous about that take.
This is awful, in my opinion. I think Russ, you want to talk about how he is the most overhated player in the league. I mean, I think it's way worse that we were calling Klay Thompson the most overrated player in the league.
Okay,
Russell Westbrook deserves every ounce of hate. He is, in my opinion, he does at least.
But the stats, past month.
Why does he deserve the hate?
It's 1 month of an NBA season. Players can play good for 1 month. He's not going to keep up these numbers for the rest of the season.
I would like to address a point. I would like to address.
Let Jock finish.
And he's going to be playing on a team that's one of the bottom teams in the West that maybe make a play-in push. I don't think they will. I mean, I just can't see it. I can't see him continuing to put up good numbers and be playing meaningful games come playoffs. I just can't see it.
Go ahead, Nate.
I will like to say, you just used the argument saying, oh, he's playing good now. He probably won't play good later. You use that. When you tried to argue Kevin Huerter,
let him go. Go
ahead. When you tried
to
argue Kevin Huerter, you said he will continue to have this same outstanding season. It was only 15 games into the year.
Here's the
reason. So why can't Russell Westbrook?
But exactly. Here's my reason. This happened last year. He had a big month last year. I believe it was October or November last year. I believe he had one huge month until the beginning of the season and then fell off a cliff last year. It's going to happen again. And also, Russell Westbrook is much older than Kevin Huerter. Russell Westbrook is going to continue to slow down. Obviously, as age is a big factor in Russell Westbrook's career. But Kevin Huerter is a younger player with much more upside than Russell Westbrook has. So I just think that the fact that he's going to slow down, I think, again, projections, but I think that it happened again last year. He had one boom month, and then he just was awful the rest of the year. I just think that it's going to continue to be the same thing for Russell Westbrook. And by the end of the season, I do not think he'll even be in the conversation for 6
Go
All
ahead.
right, this is turning into one of the worst takes I've ever heard by you.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not gonna lie.
Definitely is
So-
a bad take.
So
He's
I don't understand. You're telling me Russell Westbrook fall off a cliff. What NBA were you watching? He had a much better year last year than he is having.
Well,
to
he
start
fell
this
off a
year.
cliff last year. Are you serious?
No.
Okay,
did.
okay. So
Okay,
I would
yeah,
like to
I'll let
enlighten
You can read me out numbers. You can read me out numbers unless I could be missing something.
I will
But-
read you out numbers, and you're going to say, oh, right now he's averaging 15 a game. Last year for the full season, he averaged 18. Right now he's shooting 43% from the
he
field.
plays with nobodies. He plays with nobodies.
Okay, here we go again. Like, you can't. What do you mean
Yeah,
he
that's-
plays with nobodies? He plays with
Austin
LeBron and
Reeves
AD.
is
He
hitting
comes off the
game winners
bench.
for the Lakers.
I mean, to be completely
Jock,
fair,
this
Luka
is getting
Doncic.
bad, dude.
Luka Doncic plays with nobody, so his stats don't matter anymore.
I mean, put it that way. But like,
Well, yeah.
But like what? I'll continue. So Russ
Yeah, go
averaged 18 last year, and then he has 15 this year. Last year, Russ shot 44% from the field, and Russ this year is shooting 43. Last year, Russ had 8 assists per game. This year, he has 7, or about to be 8, and then rebounds was 7 and 7 from last year to this year. So he was better last year than he was this year. What cliff is he going to fall off of? He had a really rough beginning to this year, and now he's starting to finally catch his stride. He has better numbers than any other candidate here. The only argument you could possibly make is Malcolm Brogdon is leading the best or one of the best benches in the NBA and on one of the best teams in the NBA. That is the only argument you could possibly make.
you could
For
also make the
really
argument
anyone.
of how bad this team is. This team is so
They're-
awful.
What does that
They're
mean for
so-
for
That
for
means
six man,
so.
though?
So would you give me? So I'll take Christian Wood for example. Let's say the Mavericks. let's say it finishes like a 5 or 6 seed in the West. That's where I think they'll be
Whoa.
around.
The Mavericks are only a game and a half ahead of the Lakers. So why are you
Oh,
assuming the
that's
Mavericks-
gonna that.
The Mavericks are only a game and a half ahead of the Lakers, and we are putting Luka in MVP conversations because we're going off of, I guess,
Because the Mavericks are a
actual
champion,
stats.
because Luka Doncic is on the Mavericks, they're a championship contending team because he is on the Mavericks. The Lakers may not even be a play-in team by the end of the season. I mean, if the Lakers make the play-in and Russell Westbrook continues to dominate, then yes, you can give it to him. But
That's
they're
a
not.
very
I
high
think that
likelihood.
they're not going to make the play-in. Russ's age is a big factor. He's going to slow down. Also, injuries is another factor for him. That could happen. So there's a lot of
in what
uncertainty.
world?
There's a
In
lot
what
of
world are
uncertainty.
injuries a factor. He hasn't played. He played a full season last year. He hasn't missed one game this year. So where are injuries a factor?
Did he
where
not
is
miss
age
like
a
2 weeks
factor?
last year? Did he not miss 2 weeks this year with a high ankle sprain?
I mean, 2 weeks in today's NBA is nothing, if we're being honest.
It's like
He's
3
played-
games at most of the time.
The Lakers have played 22 games. He has played 21 of them. Last year, he played 78 games. He missed 4 games the entire season. I don't see where age is going to catch up with him. He's still putting up very, very good numbers. Who do you have ahead of him? That is not even that. To say that this is a bad take is just that's a terrible take by you in and of itself. To say that this is a poor take, Russell Westbrook has to be high on everybody's board in terms of 6th man of the year.
I
If he's
actually have
not-
him number 3. I have him number 3.
I don't know what to tell you if he's not in your top 3, top 5. To say that it's a bad take is ridiculous.
Jock,
shaking
anything
your
else
head,
you want to add?
No, you can move on. I'm
No,
done.
you're shaking. No. You're shaking.
I'm done
your head.
arguing
What do you
here.
disagree with?
It's like talking to a brick wall. Go ahead, Ben.
What do you?
I
hold
don't
on,
want
hold-
any. I don't want any
Hold on.
insults in the show
hold
now.
on. No.
Yo, this is great content.
We're okay. We're
Get the
okay.
popcorn,
I
Jaden.
just want to see.
I think Ben. I think Ben should move it on. Russell
No,
Westbrook overrated. Move it on.
Here we go again. So really quick, we're just gonna point this out because it's
Oh
happened
my
often on
Lord.
the show. I have called you out on one of your takes, and now you throw an insult at me, and then shake your head. So I would like you to argue back to me regarding my take,
And I
and
have.
yet you have nothing.
And I've given
to
you
say.
good reason as to
Where is
why
your
I
good reason?
think
Repeat it. There's no reason. You're just
his
saying,
age.
oh,
Number one, his age. His age is going to be a big factor in his game. Russell Westbrook is going to continue to slow down in his career. And he's also going to be playing non-meaningful games come by the end of the season. I would love the Marcus Smart take because Marcus Smart's going to be playing on a winning team. He's going to contribute to a winning team. Russell Westbrook's 18 or 17 points are going to do nothing. They're going to do nothing come the end of the season. His impact is not felt. Marcus Smart's impact is felt. Christian Wood's impact will be felt. I think it will. I think Jordan Poole's impact is felt. I just feel like Russ's impact is not felt as much as some upper tier guys that are on these big teams. And I also think Russ's production is going to continue to decline with his age.
I just don't understand why you think it's going to continue to decline. He's playing better this year he's playing better. You called him, you said he deserved the hate. He's putting up better numbers than every other player that was listed in this segment as of now. So this isn't really a conversation. This is sixth man of the year. It's hard to really contribute to your team's wins or losses if you're coming off the bench. And that is consistent with every single player that's going to be listed in this segment. So to bring up the team's record, it just doesn't hold much water. And to bring up the team's record,
It does though. That's my point. It does. It holds.
I think it's tough team record, like Freeman's saying. I mean, Jock, to be clear, I agree with you that Russell Westbrook doesn't deserve this award now or end of the season. But just bringing up the record is so tough for sixth man of the year because that's the whole point of the award. They're a sixth man. They're getting 20 to 25 minutes a game.
So before we continue to argue, I'll meet in the middle here. I would say as of right now, Russ is top 5 in sixth man of the year voting. He's top 5 as of right now. But by the end of the season, I think he will not be there.
all right, I can't get anywhere else. So
Yeah, I'll move on to my sixth man of the year. Got a bit heated there. I think you guys saw my sixth man of the year about 4 times because the banners were going against me beforehand. I'm going with Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
Jaden brought him up earlier. Sixth man of the year. I went Christian Wood during the preseason. I still think he might be my number 2 or number 3.
I think you should rock with it. I love it.
I wanted to, but I can't deny what Brogdon's doing right now. In just 23 minutes, he's putting up 14, 4, and 4, which is that stat line isn't like completely impressive, but I think we got to focus on the 23-minute part. I think we got to focus on the fact that he's just about a 50% three-point shooter. He's a 49% shooter from everywhere, field goal percentage. So I think he's been so efficient right now for the Celtics that Jaden, I got to completely agree with you. I think Brogdon is kind of running away with it, in my opinion, right now, and I don't see any changes for the rest of the season. So I think we'll move on right to Rookie of the Year. So
whoa, we're skipping a big one, buddy.
I think we're hitting the ball.
Yeah, we didn't go to the most improved player, man.
That's going to be right after Rookie of the Year. Don't spoil anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bro, the show's ruined. Man.
No, like
show's ruined. Next week, next week, I guess. Call it quits.
You want to go to most improved first, Jaden? We'll move back, or
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So Rookie of the Year. What do you got?
Before anyone goes, everyone's just gonna hop on my pick for the preseason, my most valued pick here. So I want to hear it.
You also said Paul George.
I'll take all my credit here, man. I
actually don't want to say my Rookie of the Year now because then Jock's gonna go crazy. But I'm going Keegan Murray, obviously, of the Sacramento Kings. What? Do you think that's?
I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Do you think that's wrong? I mean,
go ahead, Jaden.
He's been a huge role player for the Sacramento Kings, and he's alongside De'Aaron Fox, who's playing amazing. And we just talked about how the Sacramento Kings have been playing a good basketball. But I mean, obviously, we want them to kind of decline now so they can get a better draft pick. But I still think that Keegan Murray is helping the Sacramento Kings a lot, and he's changing the Sacramento Kings being a role player on their team.
Nate.
For my Rookie of the Year, I'm gonna go Benedict Mathurin.
Thank you.
The Pacers. Jack, you agree with me on this one?
That was my preseason pick. That's the guy who I said from the.
The only other person I can see winning this award is like.
Oh, Jock, I gotta call you.
Actually, I can't even say I see another person winning this award. I literally only see Benedict Mathurin.
You can clip it. Jaden filled out the form. It says Paulo, but you can clip it from the first episode. I said I think Paulo will win it because that's what the NBA does, but Benedict Mathurin is the most deserving. I think he's going to have the better season. And with Paulo injured now, I think it's no doubt Benedict Mathurin for the rookie year.
Okay, so Nate, before I keep cutting you off, just to go over everyone's Rookie of the Year, it was a clean sweep for Paolo Banchero. Jock will say what he wants about Benedict Mathurin.
You can go back to the first episode and clip it.
Okay, I'm sure we will.
I said Paulo will win it because that's how the politics of the NBA work.
Yeah,
This
so
is
you
the first
picked
pick.
Paulo Banchero. You picked Paulo
All
Banchero.
right, so you
then.
thought Matherin deserved it, but Paulo would win. I did the same
Yes.
thing with MVP.
Yes.
So all right,
And-
I got what you're saying. So
and
Nate, sorry about that. Once
with
again,
the
continue.
Nate, did you finish? Sorry.
He
Oh
did
no,
not. Yeah, I
I'm
cut him off
not.
mid
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, my argument for Benedict Mathurin might actually be very similar to yours. I mean, his numbers are amazing, and not only that, I mean, the team probably isn't as successful without him. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is very good, but I think Benedict Mathurin plays a big role on that team.
Doc?
Yeah. I'm in the same boat with Nate here. With the injury to Paulo and with how much time he's missing, I think Benedict Mathurin is the rookie of the year. I think he will win it. I think he deserves to win it because he's coming off the bench. He's also 6th man of the year in the conversation for that. I'm not saying he will win it. He's in the conversation there. He is putting up big numbers for the number 4 team in the West. Nobody expects the Pacers to be this good. He is by far having the best season out of any rookies other than Paulo, but he's injured. And who knows what his season is going to look like. I think Benedict Mathurin is going to be the most consistent rookie this year. I think he's going to continue to put up good points on a team that a possible play off team, definite play-in team in my opinion. I think that he's going to have the biggest impact out of all the rookies. And again, I want to throw some mention at just one more guy. I think Jaden Ivey's having a very good year. I don't think he'll win it. I think he's going to be also deserving of the rookie of the year. I think he's been having a great season. But give me Benedict Mathurin.
Freeman?
Yeah, I'm gonna take. Although he's injured, I'm gonna take Paulo Banchero here.
Yeah.
I think in my eyes at least, when you look at team success, I think that more contributes to the MVP vote, not necessarily Rookie of the Year. So Paulo Banchero, I mean, he has better numbers across the board. He's shooting incredibly efficiently. He's putting up the most points out of any rookie per game. The injury, I mean, it's nothing major. He's returned to practice this week, and he should be back to playing in a full game next week. So I like Benedict Mathurin, I do, but I think Paulo Banchero is clearly the best player in this draft, and I think he'll show it in an offense that just sucks in Orlando. So he'll begin to show that off a little bit.
Can I just ask one question real quick, Ben, to Matt?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Does the fact that the Orlando Magic are one of the worst teams in the NBA factor in that Benedict Mathurin is a key contributor to a good team? I don't know where the Pacers will finish.
I would like to say that's just not how the Rookie of the Year in past has worked.
Okay,
Agreed,
so,
100%, Nate.
Well, do you think it's
exactly
any
my
factor?
point.
Jock, I'm gonna actually go against these two. I'm completely with you.
Thank
in
you,
terms
because well, I'll go first, but here's my point. If Paulo's the best player on a team that is a bottom 3 team in the league, I mean, he's playing great. But if you're taking a guy that maybe that his numbers are a little bit worse, but he's a key contributor on a playoff team, I mean, I would give the edge to the guy that's the key contributor. Ben, you want to go here?
Well, I'm gonna defend you not in that way. I'm not gonna lie, I disagree with you in that way. But I want to talk about stats. I think Paulo Banchero is much more relied on. He has the ball way more in his hands, and that's why his stats get super inflated. And I love to look at value that they bring to the team, and that's why my next pick is going to be Benedict Mathurin, just because in terms of value that they bring to the team, I think Mathurin does that way better than Paulo does to the Magic. I'm not really taking in how good the team is into account here. I'm not trying to do that because that doesn't make too much sense. They're only rookies. But for me, I think the way Mathurin is playing in that Pacers offense is much more valuable to them than the way Banchero is playing so far for the Magic.
So just what I want to touch on, bringing it back to the Banchero versus Benedict Mathurin. I mean, the argument of Banchero has the ball in his hands more. I mean, I guess that is true, and I understand it, but he's just more efficient than Benedict Mathurin is. And so I don't really see how that's an argument. So, yeah, he has the ball in his hands more, I guess, but Banchero does more with it when he has the ball in his hands he's more efficient and does more with it than Benedict Mathurin does when he has the ball in his hands. If you look at the Orlando Magic at the beginning of the year, they were at least holding their own when they had Banchero on the floor with them. In the past 10 games, they're 1-9, and the absence of Banchero has really been felt. So I understand the Magic. Like, I don't think he should be punished for being on a poor team. He was the number 1 pick last year. He's entering the worst team in the NBA from a year ago. They're not really supposed to win games, But when he was on the floor, they were stringing together a couple of wins. Now he's off the floor, and like it's hard to even see them winning any games.
I don't think he should be. I agree with you, Matt. I don't think it should be a big factor that the Magic are not good because Paolo is the clear number one option on that team, and he's the key reason to any of their success if they have any. So I think as the season goes on, I think it's a two-man race, a clear two-man race between Benedict Mathurin and Paolo as we go on, and I think it's going to be very close. I think by the end of the season, I think Paolo's going to win it still, but I think Benedict Mathurin's going to deserve it more, and I think he's going to win it.
Yeah, Jock, I agree with you. I mean, they are end of season, so they are kind of prediction based. I think Mathurin just flows in that offense better. But once again, it is so tight between those two guys. I don't really think anyone is near the top two right now. It is so tight between them. I also want to bring up before we move on, it doesn't really seem like there's a standout superstar so far, like rookie of the year wise. I mean, we had LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. We had our Zions for the month he played, and our RJ Barretts and stuff like that. Like
even last year there was not much either, to be honest.
Exactly. We haven't. I mean, that's a whole new topic too. Like we haven't seen much superstar. Like we're talking rookie superstar talent
next year.
Star talent.
Come next year, I think we'll have a couple guys that are really like take into account. Like you have your Victors, you have your Scoot, you have your Amen Thompsons. I mean, I think there's a couple guys that could be superstars in a couple during their rookie year.
Oh, superstar is just a crazy word to throw out for a
You
rookie.
don't know how good. I mean, you're telling me.
I mean, yeah, I guess
Scoot,
I don't know.
Victor, Ahmed Thompson, 3 of the top picks on the draft, could all make huge impacts right as they come into the league.
I mean, you just read off names. There's really there has never been a player, like the only player in NBA history, in my opinion, that you could list as a superstar in their rookie year would be LeBron James at a high school. Like there's never really been anybody else who's put up superstar number. Like to be a superstar, you got to be one of the top 10, 15 players in the league.
Yeah.
To say that you think a year before the draft even starts.
A star.
Yeah, and honestly, Jock, I'm gonna throw you off course. I think I even said superstar when I was talking about rookies. I meant star. I meant like playing very well, way above expectations for an 18, 19-year-old.
Right. So I'll revise my point. Next year, we're going to have a lot of stars coming in that rookie class, and it'll be a very packed rookie of the year race next year, I think.
I'm definitely hoping so because it's been a bit of a dormancy in terms of rookies really showing up in their first year. Guys, talk about showing up after a rough year. Most improved player, Jaden. I know you are very eager to get to this one, so I'll let you go first.
For my most improved player, I'm definitely going with Tyrese Maxey of the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, the most improved player, I mean, it's usually given to a guy who's established himself as a star player on the team. I mean, I don't think Tyrese Maxey has established himself as a complete star, but he also has 2 other guys in front of him who are complete stars in the NBA, just alone. And bringing the obviously coming into this season, we did not think that James Harden would be this good, and he's helping Tyrese Maxey just excel so much more with James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. I honestly think that they can make a big playoff push. I don't know what you guys think on that.
Yeah, Jock had a bit of a visceral reaction, so Jock, I'll throw it to you first.
I get to take my pick here?
No. I know you some oohs and ahs after that pick.
When we get to my pick, you'll understand why. We'll let Nate go first.
Or Freeman, did you want to add anything before we move on to Nate?
No,
I love Maxey. I love Maxey's upside.
Okay. And also Nate, I'm gonna cut you off before you even start talking. Most improved player. Let me forget again on you guys. So Matt is gonna take Tyrese Halliburton at the very start, and we'll see what he takes now. Jock, I got Halliburton / Brunson here. We'll see what that means. I'm gonna give you Halliburton. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I took Anthony Edwards. Not a great pick by me, if I'm being honest. And Jaden went Zion / Jalen Brunson. So a couple slashes. A lot of Jalen Brunson's flying around. We'll see what that means. But Nate, finally, you can go.
I'm gonna go. I don't know if this is a crazy pick. I'm gonna go Tyrese Halliburton.
I wouldn't call it crazy at all. Any reasoning?
As of right now, he's the front runner.
Any reasoning, Nate, or you just want to throw it over to Jock?
I can argue for it, Nate, if you need me to.
I mean, I looked at the stats, and I've been a fan of Tyrese since college. So,
Jock.
All right. So yeah, the reason for the little fist bump when I heard Tyrese, I thought he was gonna pick Halliburton. They said Maxey. I was like, all right, I don't hate it. But you're talking about the clear front runner. As of right now, he's the clear front runner for most improved player. And he is the clear front runner. Don't give me any groans. The clear front runner.
We don't have the same guy, Freed.
He is becoming he is cementing himself as a superstar in the league. He is very close.
Oh
to
God!
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Get out of here. Yes, he is.
Even
Tyrese Halliburton.
a game. How can you be a superstar?
The Pacers are the 4th seed in the East. Nobody expects this. Tyrese Halliburton is the most important player on that team. He is becoming a legit, bona fide star. Almost borderline.
I would like to say I do not agree with this.
Oh my Lord. Tyrese Halliburton is so good. I will continue to vouch for this guy. His situation is so good.
Not yet. I would say.
Oh yes.
Not yet.
Yes, he is right now. He's taken such a massive jump from where he was in Sacramento to where he is now with this Indiana team, elevating them to a playoff team. I think the Pacers are a playoff team at the end of the season. I think that is how good and how much he carries this Pacers team. He is worth so much to this team, and his numbers have been crazy this year. He is the assist king, most total assists, most assists per game. He's averaging crazy numbers on defense as well, becoming a very established defender at the guard position. I just can't see anywhere where he doesn't win this award. I think he's the clear front runner. I think he should win it.
Jock, very confident in Halliburton.
Yeah.
Freeman, let's see who you have.
I think that's just ridiculous. I think Halliburton being number 2 is perfectly fine. That's where I have him. I mean, you want to talk about to say that Tyrese Halliburton is becoming a superstar.
He is because he is.
He is a superstar.
He's not a superstar yet, but he is very close, and he's becoming one. He's a bona fide.
I would think you have to average 20 a game or more to become a superstar.
Is he not averaging more than 20 a game?
He's averaging 19 a game, Josh.
Okay. All right. 1 point is the deal breaker.
20? No. You got to average.
He's also leading the league in assists per game, leading the league in total assists. I mean,
total.
And he's 1 point under 20 points per game. And he's also so young. It's just going to continue to go up. He's a definite star.
This has nothing to do with the award. Like, I'm really happy you're pointing all this stuff out. His age has nothing to do.
I'll pull up his numbers. He took a massive jump from last year.
All right. Okay. Show me his massive jump. I will explain a massive jump. And this is where we're going to get another reaction. I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the clear-cut most improved player of the year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is up 7 points on his points per game from last year. Halliburton is up 3.
This is my number 2.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is up to 6 assists. That's up 3 from last year. Halliburton's only up 1 assist from last year. SGA is up a little, almost a block and almost a steal more from last year to this year, and Halliburton hasn't really seen that type of improvement. It's not much improvement from last year to this year. So explain to me how Halliburton, with only 3 points more from last year to this year, only 1 assist more from last year to this year, is a more deserving player of the most improved player award than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has 7 more on his points per game, who has a half a block more, a half a steal more, and has 3 assists more, and is absolutely putting his team on.
Because Tyrese Halliburton's team wins, and he takes his team, and his team wins. Shai is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Shai. I think Shai is number 2.
You're losing everybody on this.
I'm not. Here's my thing. Tyrese Halliburton is making a much bigger impact on a good team than Shai is. I love Shai. Shai's team is doing nothing this year. The Pacers are a good team this year. And also 1 assist up from last year. That has to be wrong. Tyrese Halliburton's leading.
It is absolutely correct. I believe it's
okay,
true.
But again, you look at numbers. He's leading the league in assists per game.
It's most improved. It has nothing. It's the last year to this year.
Okay, was Tyrese Halliburton even close to the assist king last year? No. He's taken tremendous
2 assists away.
Also, as a defender, his defensive rating has gone up 8 points. He's taken a massive jump as a defender. I get the steals aren't there, but his jump defensively for me is the one thing that sticks out, other than the fact that he's already been a great passer. His jump defensively is so massive. I get Shai's offensive game has improved a lot, We want to talk about a guy that's going to contribute to a winning team, and also the fact that Halliburton's jump on defense, that big jump is close to what Shea's big scoring is. We also knew Shea was that good, but not that good. We also
What are you
knew Shea
saying?
was
Right?
good.
He
We also knew
jumped
Shea was
7
good.
points per game.
I know it's a big margin, but Halliburton's margin on defense was also very, very large.
So was Shea's. Shea jumped so
no,
much.
it's not.
from last
Shea's defensive rating went up 4 points. Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right. What was Halliburton's? It's a
8.
very similar
8.
margin.
8.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander from last year to this year improved a huge amount. Way
So did
more than
Halliburton. And I think the fact that Halliburton's team is winning and
That has nothing to do with most improved player. Nothing to do with most improved.
Yes, it does. But yes, it does. Yes,
Nope.
it does. Halliburton was on one of the worst teams in the league. He's now a number 1 option and putting a better numbers
got
on a
traded. He did
contributing
nothing
team
to
that is a
improve the
very good team.
Pacers.
No, you're losing me here.
Jock, I don't think you've ever had anyone here. Like, I don't understand how Tyrese Halliburton, it's most improved player. This has nothing to do
His
with
jump
team
defensively
success.
is way
You
bigger
got
than
it.
Shea.
You gotta let me finish a point. You gotta let me
But
finish.
you're not.
Go ahead,
you're not-
Fred.
You're saying the same thing over and over again. You're not getting
All
anywhere.
right.
here.
Let's hear him out then.
I'm trying, but
has-
he's not getting anywhere.
He has jumped 7 points in points per game from last year to this year. Out of anybody who averages more than 20 points per game, that's the most of all time. That's an unbelievable. So out of any significant offensive weapon, this is the most improved offensive season we've ever seen. So and not to mention, he's giving you almost 2 steals per game and a block a game, which is a huge improvement from last year. And he's putting. You want to talk about a team with no help? The Oklahoma City Thunder. If Shea Gilgeous-Alexander does not play for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they are undoubtedly the worst team in the NBA. This Indiana Pacers
you can make
team,
the same argument for the Pacers. Who's on their team other than Benedict Mathurin? I get he's starting.
they have Benedict Mathurin. They
But
have,
who else? Who else?
Miles Turner.
They have
Oh,
Miles Turner.
he's a mid-tier center. Like if you took
Mid-
Halliburton,
Mid-tier is crazy,
took
bro.
He's
Halliburton off
averaging
the Pacers,
18 a
if you
game.
took Halliburton off the Pacers, they're a bottom 5 team in the West, bottom 5 team in the East. Maybe
No,
even
they
bottom-
make the play-in in the East without.
No, they don't. No,
Halliburton.
they don't. If you take Halliburton off the Pacers, they're a bottom 3 team in the East. I would.
All right, let's just move on. Let's just move on. That's a topic for another day.
I need you to explain to me how Halliburton's jump of about
Halliburton's jump. I get Shea has the point.
Here we go.
I get Shea has the point.
No,
You got
All
it.
right,
You
well,
gotta let
he
me
is-
finish.
Freeman, Jock, I don't want to do this, bud. You're on mute. Go ahead, Freeman.
Thank you very much. It's long overdue. Tell me how, like, if you look at every single facet of their game, if you look at steals and blocks, Shea has a bigger jump than Tyrese Halliburton from last year. Steals and blocks. If you look at points, Shea absolutely, I already touched on that, absolutely blows them out of the water in terms of offensive production improvement from last year to this year. And if you look at assists and rebounds, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander also has a bigger jump from last year to this year. So he has improved more in every single category. How is he not the most improved player of the year over Benedict Mathurin?
And Freed, Jock, before I let you get any last argument in, Freeman, I'm completely in agreement with you. I'm surprised we didn't have more people agreeing with us earlier. I'm going with Shea as well. I think the 7-point jump is so much greater than people give it credit for. To go from 24.5 to 31.5 is insane. And also, Freeman, I don't know if you brought it up, the field goal percentage as well. I mean, he went from 45% last year. He's sitting at 51% this year. His 3-point percentage went from 30 to 33. Like, everything's improving besides, I mean, yeah, total rebounds and assists per game go down very slightly. Actually, assists go up. Total rebounds
assists
down
go up by about 3.
And total rebounds go down by like 0.2. But steals go up by half a steal. Blocks go up by half a block. Like, he's improving everywhere besides rebounds per game, which, I mean, he's a point guard. Like who really cares? And what value does that bring in terms of rebounds per game for a point guard? It doesn't, in my opinion. And I think without Shea as a most improved player, without Shea on the Thunder, I think they become much worse than without Tyrese on the Pacers. That's just my opinion. That's just Freeman's opinion. Jock, I'm sure you want to get in here before we move on to DPOY.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you're all good.
All right, here we go.
Or you can just unmute
Halliburton,
yourself. Right?
first of all, since Halliburton has left the Kings, his shooting percentages went up 7%. That's a big margin. Also, but by the time the season ends, Halliburton will be the assist king. That is a great accolade to have. He has taken the jump to be one of the most elite passers in the NBA. He's a top 5 passer in the NBA. He's an elite ball distributor. I think you cannot argue with me on that. And also, Halliburton's impact is way more felt on a Pacers team that is a competing team, a team that is moving in the right direction, a team that can play for something this year, than on a bottom 3 team in the West. I get the jump Shea had on offense is good, but the jump that Halliburton has had on defense is just as big of a margin as Shea's jump on offenses. I said there was a 4-point defensive rating difference between Halliburton and Shea. That's a big margin as a defender, especially for how young they both are. Halliburton's defense has taken such a step up, and Halliburton is guarding some of the best players in the league at the 3 position. Halliburton's defense is so much better than Shea's. It's so much better. I mean, you want to talk about big jumps? That jump is crazy. So I think that those 2 are the top 2, but I think Halliburton's jumps are just better. And I think that his team and his contention and what he's adding is better.
And the thing I want to bring up, you brought up the standings and where they are. I mean, it's so early in the season. The Thunder are less than 2 games away from the 5 seed, and the Pacers are less than 2 games away from the 11 seed. Like if the Thunder win the next 2 games, Pacers lose the next 2 games. Now they're at the same record.
But
I don't think
by the end of the season, the Thunder will not even be close to a play-in team. I think we can all agree with that. And the Pacers, at minimum, I think are a play-in team. I think that
at minimum. Oh God, at minimum is crazy.
What?
They're
Are we serious?
Where do you see them in the East?
I think that they're like around I think that their ceiling's like a 6 seed. I think their floor is like an 8 or 9.
So just answer the question real quick. Like,
I think that they're the first team in the play, and I think that they're a 7 seed.
I see them getting passed by the Nets. I see them getting passed by the Sixers, by the Raptors. And
not the Raptors. Get out of here. No.
Like this
I
is
want to
just
get out of
where
here.
its IQ is just. That's just
all right.
Do you know who's on the Raptors, by the way? I just have to ask the question. Do you know who's on
I
the
love
Raptors?
OG. OG is one of my favorite players on the Raptors.
And speaking of, Nate, that is the perfect segue. I really appreciate you throwing that out there. Dom Ruggiero threw this out there maybe an hour ago. I mean, at the start of the show, I'm talking. He threw that out there. So guys, I want to talk a little bit about this as we get ready to go.
I low-key can get behind that one.
I love it.
I can low-key get behind that one.
I love it.
So we're just all for it. Like
I could see I don't think he'll win it. I think he's in the conversation for it. I think if you want to say he's top 5, maybe even top 3, I would agree with that. I think OG's playing at an all-star level this year, averaging 20 points per game. He's also a guy that took another big jump this year. I think OG is a really good player on a team that I think the Raptors are a fairly decent team. I think they're on the same level as the Pacers. I think the Pacers are a better team. But I think
all right, just talk about the comment.
Yeah, no.
I think OG is definitely in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I love it.
I mean, Dom, I appreciate the comment. We hope you stayed long enough to be able to hear our response to it. But guys, we're finally at Defensive Player of the Year. 2 more awards to go. I think we all know what that last award is. But right now, let's focus on DPOY. So, Jaden, hit us with your Defensive Player of the Year for the end of the season.
My Defensive Player of the Year is going to be Jaren Jackson from the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, I mean, last year, I think he should have won the Defensive Player. I think he had like a good chance of winning the Defensive Player of the Year last year. I mean, he led with the league with blocks last year, and this year he improved. He got more. I believe he's up to 3 blocks per game now. He also improved on the rebounding standpoint. He also gained a little bit more steals per game this year. So I think Jaren Jackson will be a good pick for the Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Nate?
I low-key see Anthony Davis as my front runner. That's who I see. And that's if he stays healthy, which I'm sure he will, I low-key think he should have this in the bag.
Jock?
I'm really between 2 guys. But you know what? I want to give myself some credit here. I want to stick loyal to the guy I took, Ben. I think you want to read out my preseason pick of who I took or not.
Alrighty.
My preseason pick was Bam Adebayo, and I think he has a good chance to win it. I think I'm going to stick with him. I think he'll be in the top 3 most of the season in conversation. I think he has a decent chance to win it. So I like the upside. I have him Bam. I think that he's one of the top tier defensive big men in the league. Ben's back.
Yeah, my computer's going insane for anyone wondering at home.
My preseason pick was my preseason pick was Bam Adebayo, and I'm gonna stick with him.
That once again, Jock saving me with the preseason picks. So I'll bring those up right now.
What did Jaden take? I'm actually interested.
I took Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, and I like it. I mean, I think that he's kind of fallen off a little bit as a defender. I won't lie. This is a bit of a risky pick. I don't think he's the front runner. I think he's a little bit more of a dark horse pick that I think could swoop in at the end of the season. I think that I just like the upside that Bam has as a defender. He's a lockdown big man. I like the upside. I don't think he's a front runner, but I think he has a good chance to win.
Yeah, and Fried, as you're getting ready, me and you agreed on Rudy Gobert, while Jaden and Jock agreed for Bam Adebayo preseason.
I would like to say my preseason one, I thought Jaylen Brown would have a chance from the Celtics.
Which I mean, yeah, I appreciate the honesty, but he's not winning it.
No.
Go ahead.
I know.
Yeah, when I look at that, there's a lot of I'm not sure why we're taking like a guy. I don't know how Bam Adebayo is gonna swoop in. It really wasn't presented. I don't know what he's gonna do to. Brook Lopez is playing on the best defensive team in the NBA. He's averaging 3 blocks per game, and the Bucks have in the recent years with very similar rosters. They've been atop the league in defensive, in a top of the league in terms of defensive rating and their opponent's points per game. But when you look at Brook Lopez leading the league in blocks, he's a backside defender that Giannis has never really had, and he's been protecting the rim at an unbelievable rate. So, yeah, give me Brook Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, Freeman, I'm going to agree with you for the second straight time here. I got Brook Lopez as well. You brought up 3 blocks per game. That's just insane. And I think the reason why he's able to do so much defensively is that there's not much required offensively. So he's able to put all his energy into the defensive side of the ball. I was thinking of names like Bam Adebayo, like Joel Embiid, but those guys have some serious offensive responsibilities. So they can't be completely focused on defense because they're running plays or whatever they have to do. They have so much focus. I mean, Joel's dropping 30, 31 a game right now.
Bam is not an offensive player. Bam is focused on defense.
He helps out on defense a lot more, on offense a lot more than Brook Lopez does.
Brook Lopez is more of a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree there.
Yeah,
that's
that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. Like Freeman said, Brooks dropping 3 blocks a game. I don't see that dropping whatsoever. I mean, 2.5 is probably the minimum I see him ending with. And I think a guy like that, you have to give DPOY. So, guys, we're finally here. The most valuable player in the league award. So, Jaden, how do you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, for most valuable player, I think you guys are going to expect me to go with a different answer, but I'm not going with that answer. For this season, I got to go with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Honestly, he's the greatest player in basketball right now. You can't tell me that there's a player who could do what he does on the offensive side as well on the defensive side. He's the best player in the league. I mean, obviously, I get there's going to be some politics involved with this NBA voting, with the voting for who's going to be the front runner. But I mean, if you just look at Giannis Antetokounmpo and how much he is dominated from the offensive side and the defensive side, if there's someone in the paint, he's definitely going by them. If there's someone who's going to come in and try to get to the basket, he's obviously going to do something on the defensive side to stop it. I think that Giannis Antetokounmpo has just made such a big name for himself in the NBA, and I think he should be the most valuable player.
Yeah, and Jaden, you actually picked Giannis preseason, so it's good to see you sticking with him, and obviously he's maintaining an MVP candidate. Nate, I'll throw it to you next.
All right, I'm picking Trae Young, JK. I'm not actually doing that. Jason Tatum is going to be my MVP. He will win the MVP at the end of the season. Now, I get what Jaden said with Giannis, and I could see Giannis winning it as well, but I think Jason Tatum has the advantage here just because, I mean, the Celtics overall as a team are just dominant.
All right. All right. I talked a little bit about it on the show. Let me get it out first. All right. Nate, first of all, the fact that you didn't even mention Luka Doncic is just pure disrespect in the MVP conversation. Luka Doncic will
Okay, though can I answer this?
Yes.
when you look at MVP, I get you look at the most valuable player, but you also have to look at who will actually win the MVP. And Luka, while we may think he's in the conversation, it will just be harder for him because his team is actually so bad.
I'm gonna stop you there,
Nate. Argument for me. Thank you.
I understand what you're saying, Nate. I think what we're trying to do is who deserves it, just to give those guys some recognition. Because obviously the board we can't predict.
So let me get to it first. I'm gonna take Luka Doncic here. I think it's a 3-man race. I think it's the 3 guys that have been set. I think it's Tatum. I think it's Giannis. I think it's Luka. I think Giannis's team is so good. I think he's slowly falling out of the MVP race. I think it's the 2 young guys. I think it's Luka. I think it's Tatum. If the season ended right now, the MVP is Jason Tatum. Don't get me wrong. I think if the season ended right now, I think Jason Tatum unanimous MVP. I think that by the end of the season, the Mavs have had a severe slow start. I think that by the end of the season, the Mavs are going to – I think also the fact – so 2 things. Number 1, I think that Luka's team, the Mavs, are going to take a big jump. I believe that they are the 9th seed in the West. Correct me if I'm wrong. Something like that. They got off to a very, very slow start. I think that team is going to take such a big jump, and they are such a dangerous team in the playoffs. Luka Doncic last year in the playoffs, one of the best playoff performers in all the playoffs.
Playoffs just do not count in this award. The votes are done well before the playoffs begin.
Okay. Luka also is average. Luka has the 2nd most points per game as of right now in the league. Luka has the third most total points per game. Third most total points as of right now in the league.
Points does not like points per game. I'll give you that for sure.
All right, Luka has the 2nd most points per game in the league as of right now.
That's a fact. The total points is where you lose me because then also
3rd most assists per game, way more than Tatum's. He's way more assists than Tatum. That's a fact. Tatum is a much better scorer as of right now. He has been. So
go to efficiency.
Efficiency. Tatum has been a little bit more efficient. Small margin though. Small margin as of right now. So I think that it's very, very close. Don't get me wrong. I think Luka by the end of the season will have a little bit more of an edge because of how much I also think Luka is becoming a much better defender. I think his defensive growth is growing. I think Tatum is a better defender, period. But I think Luka's defensive rating is really growing. So I think the fact that Luka's finally getting the defensive aspect to his game I think he's the best offensive player in the league. I think he's so good. I think that the fact that he's finally getting that growth on defense is going to propel him just that little bit over Tatum by the end of the year. So give me Luka Doncic.
Freeman?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Jason Tatum. I mean, I understand how Luka Doncic has had improvement from last year to this year in terms of defense, but unfortunately, this is not the most improved player. This is the MVP of this season. Yeah. So Luka has been a somewhat of a force on defense, but Tatum's, you just mentioned, is definitely a better defender. And I think this is really the only award, in my opinion, where team success actually matters. And Jason Tatum is leading the Celtics to the best record in the entire NBA, and it's not even remotely close at this point. Jason Tatum is leading the league in clutch points, which is points in the last 5 minutes or less of a close NBA game, which I believe is within 7 points. He is leading the league in clutch points per game that occurs. So, I mean, he's the best player down the stretch in the NBA. He's the best player on the best team in the NBA right now. He's shooting the ball incredibly efficiently. I just think Jason Tatum is going to continue what he's doing.
Again, my argument, I love Tatum. I mean, my argument heavily relies on that the Mavericks are going to be a much better team come by the end of the season, which I think that they will. I think that they'll be around a 4 or 5 seed in the West, which is where they were last year. I think that that's where they're going to be this year. I think that they're going to take – I think that Luka is that good that he's going to carry this team up to that spot.
What more can he do?
What
more? He's averaging, I believe, 31, 33, and like around 10 assists.
10 assists and like 8 rebounds.
So what more do you expect out of him that will propel the Mavericks to a 5 seed or a 4 seed? Like
he's basically like this generation's Wilt Chamberlain right now. That's what he's doing on the Mavs.
So, but that's exactly correct. I just don't understand. You're saying he's gonna continue to propel them.
It's all hypothetical. I mean, The
No.
Mavericks need guys to step up on defense. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They need guys to step up on defense. If they get their defensive rating up, and Luka needs to take a little bit more of a stride.
That's the problem, though. They have no defenders on that team.
I know.
But where are they
I
going to
think-
come from? You're
I
saying
think
you
the
like them to
fact
be a
that
5
Luka-
seed or 4 seed. Like where? Luka can't
Luka-
play any better than he's playing right now.
He can,
And-
but he can. But he
Oh,
can.
so he can average 40, 20, and 20. Because
He
I-
could.
what-
He's that
Alright.
special of a player.
all right,
He
we
is
gotta
that-
move on. We gotta
His
move on. I
points
can't.
per
I
game
can't.
could go up drastically. His assists per game could go up a little bit. I think
Could
that
go up
Luka is
drastically. What do you expect him to average in a game? Like realistically.
Yeah, Jock, I think you have a case with what he's putting up now. I don't think you have to go that far with him.
But I'm pointing out the fact that he says the Mavericks are going to be a 4 or 5 seed by
They
the end of the
could.
year.
I'm not
But
saying that they will. I
what
think
is
that
going
they
to
could.
change? Explain to me what is going to change. There's been no signs of anything changing.
They just need more. They just need to get healthy. They have a lot of injuries right now. They need players to step up on defense.
Which key player or which key players?
key
Just a bunch
players?
of role players. It's just a bunch of bench role players. I was looking at their injuries earlier today. It's nobody of note, but it's just some of their role
Oh,
players.
so it's like the 9th and 10th man who get like
No.
10
It's
minutes
like,
a game.
like they're
I'm
it's like
wondering
their
how
middle.
the role
It's like there's
players
6
are
or
gonna-
7 guys. They come off the bench down the stretch, just play good defense. It's a couple of those guys.
Who are the what?
Play
But like
good
how are
defense.
role
Their team is
players-
made on offense.
How are role players going to propel the Dallas Mavericks from being a 9 seed now to a 4 seed by the
Also,
end of the year?
also, we talked about how close the West is. I mean,
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up to help you
Thank
out, Jock.
Thank
It's so close that it takes a couple of games to move up 7 spots. Like it's so close right now.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying Luka cannot play any better than he is playing.
but he can. He can go up.
Expect
that's
I want
that's
to-
where you lose everybody.
But he
dude.
can go up a little bit in a points. He can go up a little bit in
But
assists.
what? Like a half a point? Like what is
He
the?
can go up a couple points. I can see him going up 2-3 points.
Yeah, Jock, I think what he's doing now is more than enough. It's just that the team backs him just a little bit.
Yeah.
Is when they propel up. I don't think
And that's
Luka.
my point. If the Mavericks as a team as a whole moves up, which I think that they will, I think Luka
But, like-
deserves it more than Tatum.
Like that's where you lose me because I'm not seeing any reason
Okay,
on how
So,
the
so
Mavericks
let's just
will
say,
move up.
all right, let's just say that the Mavericks end as a 5 seed and the Celtics end as a 1. Let's say
The
that
one
it ends as the 1 seed.
Yep.
Tatum has much more help on the Celtics. So,
Okay, but there's no reason for the Mavericks to be a 4 or 5 seed right
but
now.
they could.
Yeah, they're a
Luka
4 or
is
5
that
seed.
good
They
of a
have
player.
another. There's
Luka-
gonna be another reason, and it's not Luka.
I agree. It's like we're looking at this team is abysmal now, and the only reason why they're a 9 seed is because of Luka. If they move up, you're going to see a lot
I mean-
of help. If
me
they
personally,
don't move up,
The
then
guy,
we're looking
the
at a
guy
team that's-
I'm looking for to
All right,
help
dude.
that struggled is Dorian Finney-Smith. I think that he's the guy that they need to step up. Really,
Finney-Smith.
So
doesn't-
you
he
think
doesn't even
Dorian
put up that many
Finney-Smith is
shots.
gonna
I think
propel
that
the-
he could. I think that he could be a decent contributor. So and
Listen, I will give you this. Dorian Finney-Smith is a great role player, but the problem is
Yeah.
he does not put up a lot of shots.
but he doesn't need to because he's Luka Doncic on his team. Is my point.
But how are they?
How are they gonna win?
How are they going to go from 9
need
to
him to-
5 or 4?
Because again, the West is that close. If Luka Doncic continues to play continues to play the game he is playing, and they have guys step up on defense and guys come back from injury playing good defense, there's no reason why they can't.
I get what Jock is saying, and that's the most logical way Luka wins MVP. Like the team success rises, Luka cannot get any better. The way he's playing right now is prime Luka. Like that, Freeman is completely right on that. But Jock also, it could easily happen that the rest of the Mavericks step up just a slight bit and they move up
Yes.
to that 4 or 5.
If Luka's team finishes as a play-in team, give the MVP to Tatum by all means. If Luka's team is a play-off team in the upper tier, give it to Luka. That's what I would say.
And I can agree with that, but there's just nothing that points to the Mavericks just becoming a 4 seed by the end of this year. There's nothing.
a
The
small
highest I can
We're a
see them
quarter
go
into
is
the
being a
season.
6 seed.
We're a quarter into the season. The West is so packed. It's just small growth. We're gonna
You're,
have to.
you're right. It's packed. I don't see.
Yeah,
them
that's
doing
why I
better
can't
than
see
the
them going
Bucks,
to
the
a 4 or
Grizzlies, the
5.
Pelicans. I just that's where you lose me.
Yeah, so I'll finish it off with my MVP. I don't know. I got a bit of a grin on my face right now. Jock brought up carrying teams is very important. Luka's very good at that. I couldn't agree more. Easily carrying the Mavericks right now. He also brought up there's 3 main guys, and that's where I come in. That's where I
I
come in.
have a feeling I know who you're gonna
Outside of
say.
that,
Don't say it. Do not say that person.
I won't say it. I'll just throw something out there and let you guys figure it out for yourself.
I'm a little lost here.
I knew it.
Oh, all right. Do you want to argue for yourself first? Or do you want me to go here first?
I would love to argue for myself first.
All
Thank
right,
you
go
for the
on ahead, Ben.
opportunity,
I'll go
Kyle.
after you. I'll give a counter.
I very much appreciate that. If we're talking most valuable player, no, I'm sorry, not Luka Doncic. You've been saying Luka Doncic so much. Nikola Jokic is the most valuable player to his team of any superstar in the NBA. You take Nikola Jokic off the Nuggets, they're a top 3, maybe top 5 worst team in the league. Easily. That happens immediately. Talk about efficiency. Last year, I know this isn't most improved. Last year, 58%. That is unreal. This year, 64% from the field, which is incredible. 34% from 3 at 7 feet tall, 350 pounds, or whatever he is. He's dropping 10 assists or 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 23 points per game in just 32 minutes, which is not superstar minutes, but I expect that to go up, which is why I expect Nikola Jokic to still win MVP. It was my preseason prediction. It's my prediction now. He is the most valuable player. I'm taking that as literally as I can. Most valuable player. Also, I want to throw this out there. Defense as a big man, averaging 1.5 steals and half a block per game. 1.5 steals for a big man is unprecedented. And also just in general, defense, contesting shots. Nikola Jokic is among the best of all big men on defense. And then obviously his playmaking on offense, his efficiency on offense. Nikola Jokic at the end of the year will win MVP.
All right, I'll go first here. So the first thing is that you made the argument that if you take Jokic off the Nuggets, that they are a bottom 3-5 team in the league. Same argument for Luka. You take Luka off the Mavericks, they are a bottom 3 team in the league, no doubt. They have nobody if you took Luka off the Mavericks. So
I don't know about the Nuggets though.
You can't really make those arguments. For the points per game and the shooting efficiencies, you could say the same thing about Tatum. You could say the same thing about Luka. You could say the same thing about Giannis. There's no argument there. The arguments that I will give you,
not Tatum and Giannis. Not Tatum and Giannis.
Not
for
if
what
we're talking
exactly?
Efficiency. It's Jokic is the best of them all.
Are we talking efficiency, or are we talking how valuable they are to the team and how much it gets worse?
Efficiency.
Oh, okay.
Efficiency.
All right.
Jokic is
if you're talking about how valuable
those 3.
If you're talking about valuable to their team, Jokic is very, very, very valuable to the Nuggets. I get that. The argument that you said stats-wise that I will give you is the rebounds. He has an edge as a big man, and he's going to have way more rebounds than these guards and these forwards that we're arguing about. Tatum, Luka, he's going to have that edge. Also, 1.5 steals as a big man is very, very impressive. But if you're looking at who has played MVP, who has played the best this season, and who is adding the most value to their team, I just can't see a world where it's not. I just can't see a world where it's not Tatum or Luka this year. I think that both those guys add so much to their teams. I get Luka is very valuable to his team. I think those two guys add so much to their teams and their two teams' successes that I think that those two guys are going to get it done. The only argument I think that you can make is that I think that if you took Tatum off the Celtics, I think that they could still maybe be a playing team because of how good that roster is. But if you took Luka off the Mavericks, they are a bottom 3 team in the league. So that's I could see it, but I just can't see a world where Tatum or Luka does not win this MVP or Giannis does not win this MVP.
Okay, so I would like to say, you take Jokic off of the Nuggets. You said they were a bottom 5 team.
I disagree with that.
I would say they might actually still make the playoffs.
They could with the healthy Michael Porter Jr. They could.
Oh,
No, not the playoffs. Not the playoffs. Play in.
If Jamal
Jamal
Murray balled out,
No.
They could have a
Nate, stop.
Dude,
I'll
don't
make
give
more
me that.
sense.
Don't
I'll make
give me
more
that.
sense than Nate's take. They are a borderline play-in team with the healthy Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray.
They
a
are
borderline
play-in
play-in
team. They are period. They're not.
I'm just saying they could sneak in as a 6 seed. That's all I'm saying.
No, they could not. They're like a 9 or they're like an 8 or 9 seed.
Nate, this team is not a 6 seed. I mean,
Yeah,
what,
they're not
Jamal
a
Murray
6
and then what? Aaron Gordon, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter. Like, that is not a 6 seed.
That's like an 8 or 9 seed if you take Jokic out.
Even that. I don't know how much I can get behind that.
Yeah, yes. With the healthy Michael Porter Jr., yes.
I think the rest of the Nuggets are so overrated. That's why I think Jokic somehow is still underrated. Obviously, this is just my opinion. It will not happen. Like I said preseason, I'll say it again. This will not happen. Even if, let's say, he ups his points by 20, they won't give it to him. It's voters' fatigue. They will never give Jokic another MVP for the next couple of years at least. But I know it's out there. I had to throw it out there, make it a bit more interesting than just Tatum, Jokic, and Giannis. But
I hear you, and you have valid points. But you're saying that they won't give him an MVP like he deserves it. I don't think he deserves it this year. I think the three deserving guys are still Tatum, Luka, and Giannis. I think all three of those guys, pending what the standings are at the end of the season, I think that those three guys are still more deserving of the MVP than Jokic are.
And hey, that's definitely the chalk pick. It definitely looks like it makes the most sense to me. I love taking efficiency and defense into account. I think all of it goes into value in terms of bringing wins to your team. That's the only reason why I'm going Jokic here. Also, just forgot, there's the banner. Chad's MVP is Nikola Jokic, anyone wondering at home. But guys, I think that's going to do it for Joe's Knows Basketball, Episode 8. For Jaden Hunter, Nate Perez, Giacomo Imperiale, Matt Friedman, I'm your host, Ben Chowder. Thanks for watching.